We will give praise, esteem, and honor to the Most High Yahuwah by way of our Master, Mallet, and Savior, YAHUSHA and Pesach. We will begin at Yachanan, John 5, verse 39. Search the scriptures, for in them you think you have eternal life, and they are they which testify of me. And you will not come to me that you might have life. I receive not honor from men, but I know you, that you have not the love of Elohim in you. Now, I mentioned the word earlier, and we're going ahead. No, let's not take that track. Let's take another track. I want you to come over here, and I want you to get you Yeshayahu or Isaiah 8 and 11 and Job 13 and 7. We'll start at Job 13 and 7 first, though. Job 13 and 7. I'm going to look at verse 1. Because there's a couple other things in there before I get to what I actually want. He say, lo, my eye have seen all this, my ear hath heard and understood it. Now this is Job speaking. What ye know, the same do I know also. I am not inferior unto you. This man say, my eye have seen all this, my ear have heard and understood it. Now I want you to come around and look at something that this man say in Romans chapter 10 and about verse 14. Because Job say, my ear has heard this, my eyes seen it, my ears heard it, I understood it. What you know, the same I know also. I'm not inferior unto you. I also want you to get 1 Corinthians chapter 1. You the whole Yeshayahu, Isaiah 8 and 11. We'll get around that in a minute. But I want you to come over here and look at Romans 10 and 14. And after we look at Romans 10 and 14, he's going to sit back and look at 1 Corinthians chapter 1 and about verse 8. He's sitting back saying, I have the same knowledge of you, so I'm not lesser than you. This is something that was mentioned to me, not something else running through my head too. Romans 10 and 14, right? But we're going to drop to 17 because that's what we want. He says, so then faith come by hearing, and hearing come by the word of Elohim. But I say, have they not heard? Yes, truly their sound went out into all their rats, and their words unto the ends of the world. Now something else is coming to my head because of that. So just bear with me as this stuff coming to my head. He said their sound went out. He said, listen what he said, right? Have you not heard? Yes, truly their sound went out into all their rats, all the earth, their words unto the ends of the world. To the ends of the world. This is touching on something that we talked about a few weeks back. Do y'all remember in Romans chapter 1 when we looked at that thing where it says, right, that the things invisible, the visible things of him from the creation of the world are cleanly seen, being understood by the things that are made, so they're without excuse? See, that's going to go back, right? You don't have to go get it. I'm going to reference it because we're not going to read all that stuff. I'm just going to reference it because it's something that we done talked about before. So hopefully Yahuwah bring it to your remembrance what we're referring to. So when we look at Psalms 19, right, when it says that the Shamahim declare the esteem of Elohim, the firmament show his handiwork. And they say they line go on out through the whole earth and their words to the end of the world. The same way that man say truly their sound went out into the whole earth, their words unto the end of the world. This man is literally quoting Telahim of Psalms 19 and talking about the things that are in Shamahim. Because he said there's no speech, no language where the voice is not heard. There's no speech or no language where their voice is not heard. Well, that would take us right back to sitting back looking at the lights that he set in the firmament. You know, the greater light to rule the day, the lesser light to rule the night, and the stars also, or the Father, the Son, and the Ruach HaKodesh. The same thing he told them in Matthew to go out and preach to all nations. Because he say the same thing you seen, I heard, I'm not inferior to you. See, you'll sit back and you'll look at this here, praise Yahuwah. You'll turn around and you look at it to be like with Paul, right? Paul say, because of what he had done previously, that he was the least of all the apostles. But at the same time, his ear heard and seen the same things that they did. Let's look and see if Paul seen and heard the same things that they did to show that he is not inferior to them. Let's look at Galatians chapter 1. Galatians 1 and 11. And after Galatians 1 and 11, 1 Corinthians chapter 15 and 4. But I certify you, brethren, that the gospel which was preached of me is not after man. For I neither received it of man, neither was I taught it, but by the revelation of YAHUSHA HaMashiach. For you have heard of my conduct in time past in the Yahudim's religion, how that beyond measure I persecuted the house of Elohim and wasted it, and profited in the Yahudim's religion above many my equals in my own nation, being more exceedingly zealous of the traditions of my fathers. But when it pleased Elohim, who separated me from my mother's womb, and called me by his favor, to reveal his son in me, that I might preach him among the heathen, immediately I conferred not with flesh and blood. Now you sit back and you look at it, right? Hold on, excuse me. You sit back and look at it, right? He sat back and he didn't confer with flesh and blood to get the testimony of Mashiach. The same way the apostles didn't confer with flesh and blood either. Because when Mashiach rose from the dead, he say, handle me. Ruach don't have flesh and bones as you see me have. They didn't confer with flesh and blood either. Just like he did. Because it was after his resurrection that he opened up the scriptures and showed them that the book was about him. He was not flesh and blood. He was flesh and Ruach. Flesh, Ruach, and bone. He wasn't flesh and blood. So let's look at the next thing, right? 1 Corinthians chapter 15. Then we'll look at 1 Corinthians chapter 1, what I was talking about. First Corinthians 15. I know I said 4. I'm going to start at verse 5. Though. Well, 4 is fine. And saying that he was buried and that he rose again the third day according to the scriptures. And that he was seen of Kepha, then of the 12. And after that he was seen above 500 brethren at once, of whom the greater part remain unto this present, but some are fallen asleep. And after that he was seen of James, and then of all the apostles. And of last of all he was seen of me also, as one born out of due time. For I am the least of the apostles, that I am not meet to be called an apostle, because I persecuted the house of Elohim. But by the favor of Elohim I am what I am, and his favor which was bestowed upon me was not in vain. But I labored more abundantly than they all, yet not I, but the favor of the Elohim which was with me. So you sit back and see Paul sitting there, same thing, man. My eyes seen what you seen. My ears heard what you heard. I'm not inferior to you. You know, that's one of the things that what amongst our people, that be the biggest problem is we sit back and we look at people as if they are, and I'm talking about dudes who preach the word, as if this person is inferior to them, when they have seen and heard the same thing that you've seen and heard. They look at their brothers and they don't look at their brothers as an equal. See, let's look at 1 Corinthians chapter 1. Now that's usually where the ego get involved at. 1 Corinthians chapter 1, by verse 10. Now I beseech you, brethren, by the name of our Master YAHUSHA HaMashiach, that you all speak the same thing, and that there be no divisions among you, and that you be perfectly joined together in the same mind and in the same judgment. For it have been declared unto me of you, brethren, by them which are the house of Chloe, that there are contentions among you. Now this I say, that every one of you saith, I am of Paul, and I am of Apollos, and I am of Kepha, and I am of Mashiach. Is Mashiach divided? Will Paul crucify for you, or were you immersed in the name of Paul? I thank Elohim that I baptized none of you, but Crispus and Gaius, lest any should say that I baptized in my own name. See, that's where the thing come in at. That's where that division come in at, because people sit back and look at, I'm a this person, I'm a this person. They got Mashiach divided. You know what I'm saying? That's why you say, I've heard the same thing you heard and seen the same thing that you've seen. I'm not inferior to you. I'm not lesser than you. We equal. We all on the same page. We supposed to be sitting back looking at bringing people into him. Not having people saying, I'm with this person because this person immersed me, or this person teaching me. You know what I'm saying? We see this stuff a lot. You know, a lot of brothers, y'all don't see it a lot. I see it a lot, because brothers be like, dudes be camp banging. You know what I'm saying? And it happens a lot. Dudes do it. You know what I'm saying? They rep it as if it's a gang. You know what I'm saying? That my gang is better than your gang. You know what I'm saying? And that just gets stuff out the way. That's why you see so many arguments and contentions, and brothers be asking. You know, we were just talking about it last week. Me and Pale, because another dude was talking about it, you know what I'm saying? And he was like, you know, Why the people can't come together? And he was like, you know, it's booked to show that our people always fought against each other and wouldn't come together. And I would tell them the number one reason why people can't come together, I told you before, is ego. Because everybody want to be the man. Don't nobody sit back and look at that this person is not inferior to you. You're not greater than the next man. That man say he that's greatest among you, let him be your servant. He say to humble yourself. That's why you see Mashiach let Yachanan to mercy. Yachanan say, you need to murder me. He say, man, suffer to fulfill all righteousness. He didn't sit back and look at, oh, I'm greater than you. He turned around and he looked at, he said, you called me your master. He said, your master, you know what I'm saying? And he said, rightfully so, but your master have washed your feet. Because he looked at his apostles as his equals. He said, I call you friends. I call you my brethren. If you look at somebody and call them your brother, you say that they're your equal. That we're the same. Look at Luke 6:41. Luke 6:40, actually. And we come back to Job. He said, the disciple is not above his master, but everyone that is perfect shall be as his master. If the disciple is not above his master, that means they equal. Remember, Mashiach say, many righteous men have wished to see the things that you have seen and heard the things that you've heard. Which means he would let them know, I'm not inferior to you, and you're not inferior to me. That's the mind frame we got to have. Job 13. We in verse 3. Job 13:3. He says, surely I will speak to the Almighty and desire to reason with Elohim. But ye are forgers of lies. You're all physicians of no value. Oh, that you would altogether hold your shalom, and it would be your wisdom. Hear now my reasoning and hearken to the pleading of my lips. Will you speak wickedly for Elohim and talk deceitfully for him? Will you accept his person? Will you contend for Elohim? It is good that he should search you out, or as one man mock another, do ye so mock him. Come over here to John chapter 16, where he sit back and say they forgers of lies, they physicians of no value. He said if they all together will hold their peace, it be their wisdom. John 16:1. He say, these things have I spoken unto you, that you should not be offended. They shall put you out of the synagogues, yea, the time come that whosoever kill you would think that he do Elohim service. And these things will they do unto you, because they have not known the Father nor me. But these things have I told you, that when the time shall come, you may remember that I told you of them. And these things I said not unto you at the beginning, because I was with you. Now he turned around and sit back and look at it, right? He said they physicians of no value. Now this is going sitting back looking at it. These people speak wickedly for Elohim and they speak deceitfully for him. You know, he say the leaders of this people called this people the F, because they say they speak a vision out of their own heart. That they say the things that's in their mind, worthless things and thoughts out of their own brain, which causes the people to actually rebel and turn away, which is what we're going to be getting to in a minute. But we're leading up to something, so bear with me. So when he sit back and look at it, he say physicians of no value. Look at Titus chapter 1. It's Titus 1 and about 11. Titus 1 and 11. If I can get around now. Titus 1 and 10. He said, for there are many unruly and vain talkers, deceivers, especially they of the circumcision. So unruly meaning completely out of order. They speak worthless words. He said, whose mouths must be stopped, who subvert whole houses, teaching things which they ought not, for filthy lucre's sake. He say, one of themselves, even a prophet of their own, said the Cretans are always liars, evil beasts, and slow bellies. This witness is true, wherefore rebuke them sharply, that they may be sound in the faith, not giving heed to Yahudim fables and commandments of men that turn from the truth. So that's why he say, will you speak wickedly for Elohim, or will you contend? Because that's what people sit back and realize. That's what turn people away from the word, when men speak the doctrines and commandments of men, speak their own stuff. Not pointing us forth as directing what the word says and guiding by what the word says, but guiding by their own thoughts of their heart. That's reprobates. That's somebody who's worthless. That's why I say unruly, they vain. Somebody who's at that point, they've already rebelled. And there's a simple reason why they like that. Because the dread of Yahuwah doesn't rest in their heart. Let's come back to Job 13 though. We in about verse, let me read verse 7 again. He said, will you speak wickedly for Elohim and talk deceitfully for him? That's what Paul just sit back telling you. Vain and unruly talkers that teach doctrines and commandments of men. He said, will you accept his person? Will you contend for Elohim? He said, it is good that he should search you out. Or as one mock another, do you so mock him? He will surely reprove you if you do secretly accept persons. Shall not his excellency make you afraid and his dread fall upon you? Now, the Hebrew word for dread in Job 13 and 11, I'm going to get with this verse right here. Will you accept this person and contend for Elohim? Because see, Paul stated, he said, should I please men or should I please Elohim? He said, if I please men, if I please men, then I would not be the servant of Elohim. Yes, Leah. He say, but if I please Elohim, I show myself to be of Elohim. You know, that's what a lot of people sit back and try to do. They try to please the Most High. I mean, try to please men instead of pleasing the Most High, because they don't want men to be upset with them. Because most people accept men person versus accepting Yah's person. Now, when we look at that word pakad in Job 13 and 11, it means dread or terror. Now, I'm going to sit back and show you something, right? When you look at it, and then there's another, we're going to look at Isaiah. Let's look at Isaiah 8 and 10 now, because there's two words for it, and we're going to look at both of them for dread. Let's go ahead and knock both of them out. Yes, Leah. Eight and 10. He say, take counsel together and it shall come to naught. Speak the word and it shall not stand, for Elohim is with us. For Yahuwah spake thus to me with a strong hand and instructed me that I should not walk in the way of this people, saying, listen to what he say. You should not walk in the way of this people. This leading back up to what we were talking about on Wednesday now. He said, you should not walk in the way of this people. He say ye not a confederacy to all of them, to whom this people shall say a confederacy. Neither fear ye they fear, nor be afraid. Now let's look at the word for confederacy in this instance. Well, that rain ain't playing today. He say don't say no confederacy. He say don't fear the fear that they have. See, when we look at when this man come with this mark, see what's going to end up happening is the people going to get scared. You know what conspiracy mean? It means treason, unlawful. When we look at confederacy, the word is kashar. Let's make sure we say it right. Hold on. Kasher. It literally means a conspiracy, a treason, an unlawful alliance. He say when the people, listen to what he say in verse 11 again now. Listen to what he say in verse 11 again. For Yahuwah spake thus to me with a strong hand and instructed me that I should not walk in the way of this people, saying, say ye not a confederacy to all them to whom this people shall say a confederacy. Neither fear ye they fear, nor be afraid. Sanctify Yahuwah of hosts himself, and let him be your fear, and let him be your dread. Well, the word for dread in this instance is a rats or rocks. And it means to regard or treat with awe, to regard or treat as awful, fear and trembling. Look at something look at 1 Peter chapter 3. We're going to work all this stuff in together. Now, he say don't make no unlawful alliance. See, this is going back to what we're looking at with that man in Revelation 13. And that some people going to make an unlawful alliance or an unlawful covenant. It's going to cost them their life because of fear. See, I'm going to tell you something, right? See, with that fear, a man come in, see it put, and that terror come in, see it push it out. See, it put that Picard out. It pushed that harass out. It put that trembling that you have for him. And then you can sit back and look at, because you most scared of the wrath of man. See, you most scared of what man can do to you. See, after we look at it in 1 Peter chapter 3, you go around here and get your Luke chapter 12. See, that terror and that fear and that dread of Yahuwah supposed to be in your heart. Ain't no man supposed to come and be able to push that out, to make you make an unlawful alliance. That ain't supposed to happen. Get Revelation 3 and 10, go along with that. 1 Peter chapter 3, about verse 12. We got some stuff to go along with that. All we got to do is go to Daniel for that. You see this very thing what he talking about. He say, for the eyes of Yahuwah are over the righteous, and his ears are open unto their prayers. But the face of Yahuwah is against them that do evil. And who is he that will harm you if you be followers of that which is good? But and if you suffer for righteousness' sake, happy are ye, and be not afraid of their terror, neither be troubled, but sanctify Yahuwah Elohim in your hearts. You see what he tell you? He said you need to set apart Yahuwah Elohim in your leb or your heart. That's where he need to be at, in your mind. See, we're going to sit back and we're going to look at something for that word so y'all know what it means. Just so you know what it means. I'm trying to sit back and think. The characters. I know you got the Lamad, which is the staff, and the direction. I'm trying to think of the other ones. I ain't got them right in front of me. Hold on, man. This thing tripping. Let me swipe it out and start over again. Just give it a second. That's what it meant. That's why people don't sit back, and that's why people get pushed off. That's why they had a fear. That's why the things that happen, because he's not in your leb, he's not in your heart. Now, when you look at heart, that's the inner man. Your mind, your will, your heart, your soul, your understanding, the inner part, the midst. The mind, the knowledge, the thinking, the reflection, the memory, the inclination, the resolution, the determination of will, your conscience. Seat of appetites, emotions, and passions, but also the seat of courage. Now this man sit back and tell you that if you sanctify Yahuwah Elohim in your heart, let's look at the rest of what he's saying in 1 Peter 3, right? Verse 15. But sanctify Yahuwah Elohim in your hearts, and be ready always to give an answer to every man that asks you a reason of the hope that is in you with meekness and fear, having a good conscience, that whereas they may speak evil of you, as of evildoers, they may be ashamed that falsely accuse your good behavior in Mashiach. Let's go look in Daniel chapter 2 about that. Let's just go look at Daniel chapter 2 about that right now. Ain't even no sense of cutting no corner with that. Daniel 3, actually. My apologies. I do that every time. So we look at Daniel chapter 3. We're going to get on straight on to the point. We know that Nebuchadnezzar has set up this idol and says that at a certain time when he played his music, every single solitary person has to bow down and worship this idol. We look at verse 12. There are certain Yahudim whom thou set over the affairs of the province of Babylon, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. These men, O king, have not regarded thee. They serve not thy gods, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up. Then Nebuchadnezzar, in his rage and fury, commanded to bring Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. They brought these men before the king. Nebuchadnezzar said unto them, It is true, O Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Do not ye serve my gods, nor worship the golden image which I have set up? Now if you be ready, that at what time you hear the sound of the cornet, the flute, the harp, the sackbut, the psaltery, the dulcimer, and all kinds of music, ye fall down and worship the image which I have made, well. But if you worship not, you shall be cast the same hour into the midst of a burning fiery furnace. And who is that Elohim that shall deliver you out of my hands? Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered and said to the king, O Nebuchadnezzar, we are not careful to answer thee in this matter. If it be so, our Elohim, whom we serve, is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace, and he will deliver us out of thy hand, O king. But if not, be it known unto thee, O king, that we will not serve thy gods, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up. Do you see what they ended up doing? See, the terror of Yah was in their heart, and they sanctified that, and they spoke in meekness and humility of the reason of the hope that they had, because that terror of man did not push them off of the word. See, let's look at Luke chapter 12, what I mentioned, verse 1. Luke chapter 12, verse 1. Actually, Luke chapter 12, about verse 4. And I say unto you, my friends, be not afraid of them that kill the body, and after that they have no more that they can do. But I will forewarn you whom you shall fear. Fear him which after he have killed have power to cast into hell. Yea, I say unto you, fear him. Are not 5 sparrows sold for 2 farthings? And not one of them is forgotten before Elohim. But even the very hairs of your head are all numbered. Fear not, therefore, you are more value than many sparrows. Also I say unto you, whosoever shall confess me before men, him shall the Son of Man also confess before the Malachim of Elohim. But he that deny me before men shall be denied before the Malachim of Elohim. You sit back and you look at it. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, or Meshach, Hananiah, and Azariah, they did not deny you who were in presence of man. The reason being because they served that man with fear and trembling. Hello? Hello?
Shalom.
So they served that man with fear and trembling. With fear and trembling. You know, Paul told you that. I think that's 2 Corinthians chapter 12. Let me look at it. Let's see. Actually, 2 Corinthians chapter 13. Make sure that's where that's at. I'm trying to recall the verses, set my mind. It ain't 2 Corinthians 13, though. Stop playing in your food, man. Now, you sit back and look at it. A lot of people, that fear and that dread of Yah, that stuff don't be in their heart. That's why it's easy for them to sit back and go sin. That's why it's even easier for them to sit back and take counsel from a sinner. You know what I'm saying? You sit back and look at that, right? Because if the fear of Yahuwah or the dread of Yahuwah is in your lab, in your heart, ain't no way in the world you can slide off and go do anything, because that's going to be in you. Oh, that's Philippians chapter 2. Philippians chapter 2, verse 12. I got to switch books on this one. Philippians 2 and 12. That's what we sit back and we see with those 3 men, Hananiah, Meshach, and Azariah. They served the man with fear and trembling. The fear of man did not move them to go against the word. It says, wherefore, my beloved, as you've always obeyed, not as in my presence only, but now much more in my absence, work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. For it is of Elohim which work in you both to will and to do his good pleasure. Do all things without murmurings and disputings, that you may be blameless and harmless, the sons of Elohim without rebuke, in the midst of a crooked and perverse nation, among whom you shine as lights in the world. Now that goes back to what we were looking at too. What I mentioned to you earlier. Being in the midst of a crooked and perverse nation. When you turn around and look at that, in the darkness is where the moon and the stars are set, shining as lights, ruling over the night, or shining in the midst of a crooked and perverse generation as they shine as lights to the world. Because remember, he said, we just read what Paul said in Romans chapter 10, their voice went out and everybody heard it from the ends of the world all over, which he was quoting Psalm 19, which was talking about how the things in the firmament are Elohim's handiwork, and that they declared his righteousness, and there was no speech or language where the word was not heard. Which is going right back to discussing what we discussed a few weeks back, how the things in Shamahim, the things in the firmament, are actually preaching the gospel, and no one will have any excuse. Because you already heard it, because he put it up there in Shamahim if you thought you could buck it. All he did was just come and manifest it in the flesh amongst men to show you what I had already been telling you from the foundation of the world. From the time I made everything, I was already preaching this to you. So and no man could be without excuse. So then when we turn around and sit back and look at it, you're going to even see that thing. You're going to even see that when he come back, because he say he going to shake the Shamahim as well as their rats, which means the things in Shamahim are going to serve him with fear and trembling because they're going to shake. See, now we can look at Ezekiel chapter 12 because he say you do this with fear and trembling, right? Work out your salvation with fear and trembling. So now let's look at Ezekiel chapter 12. Because now we're going to show you how Mashiach turned around and he had that fear and dread where he sanctified Yahuwah Elohim in his heart, where he did not fear an unlawful alliance of people coming to kill him. He didn't fear that confederacy. The same way that Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, they didn't fear that unlawful, that confederacy or that unlawful alliance that Nebuchadnezzar was coming with. See, people were making an unlawful alliance with Nebuchadnezzar and bowing down, worshiping that image because of fear. Fear of dying. You know what I'm saying? I know I mentioned Revelation 3 and 10. We'll get to it in a minute. But let's look over here, Ezekiel chapter 12. Ezekiel chapter 12 by verse 17. Moreover, the word of Yahuwah came to me, saying, Son of man, eat thy bread with quaking, and drink thy water with trembling and with carefulness. And say unto the people of the land, Thus saith Yahuwah Elohim, the inhabitants of Jerusalem and of the land of Yasharal, they shall eat their bread with carefulness and drink their water with astonishment, that her land may be desolate from all that is therein, because of the violence of all them that dwell therein. Now again, we're looking at the bread and water because we know this dealing with the bread and wine when Mashiach was killed. And there's a reason why we're taking this track to look at it this way, because it's something that we discussed on Wednesday, but we're just going to touch and go into greater detail right now. So let's look at Matthew chapter 26. Hello. All right. So let's look at Matthew 26. I got to use the app for that. And we look at about verse 25, right? We'll look at about verse 23. Now sit back and realize now he in the flesh. Now you know in Luke 22, he state that, you are those that were with me in my temptation. You got to remember, he in this flesh. If you don't sit back and think this man was eating and he wasn't shaking like Don Knotts, knowing that the commandment already been given in Ezekiel 12 for him to be like this here, but that's that fear and that's that dread. But then he turned around and he sanctified Yahuwah in his heart, and he didn't fear the confederacy to go in the way of this people. Because the way of the people was to rebel and make an unlawful alliance. See, we already seen talk about that Wednesday, where you turn around and you seen when Hashatan come to tempt Mashiach with all the riches of everything in the world, he didn't go for that. He wasn't going to make an unlawful alliance because he desired the things of men, because he sanctified Yahuwah in his heart. See, a lot of people don't sanctify this man in their heart. I'm sitting there telling you, right? And when we go into this backsliding thing too, well, you're going to sit back and see. A lot of people going to trample this man right under their foot. Because see, right now it's all love. But if niggas is doubting and they faith gets shook on just simple things that a man can say out their mouth, or certain things that they see, What you think gonna happen when it's time for you to lay your life down or go to jail for it? You know what I'm saying? That's when you sit back and look at it, right? Because a lot of niggas is not gonna be ready to stand up in the paint. See, like, you can't kill somebody who ready to die. And somebody who done been through a lot of things and experienced a lot of pain or seen death or been locked up, you can't scare them. You can't threaten them with that because that's not going to phase them or move them. You know what I'm saying? Some people are built for adversity and some people are not. You know what I'm saying? Some people, and that means that you don't have to be, went through no adversity, but when it come, you'll be able to come because you could be built for it. You know what I'm saying? Some people not built for adversity. First sign of adversity, they're going to crumble. You know what I'm saying? And they're going to let the desire, because Yahuwah is not sanctified in their heart, they're going to go after whatever. And then they're going to rebel. And then when they rebel, they're going to trample the man underfoot. And when they trample this man underfoot, he's going to trample you underfoot. And we're going to read that. Matthew 26 and 23. Make it 21. And as they did eat, he said, truly I say unto you, that one of you shall betray me. And they were exceedingly sorrowful, and began every one of them to say unto him, Master, is it I? And he answered and said, he that dip his hand with me in the dish, the same shall betray me. The Son of Man go as it is written of him. You heard what he said? The Son of Man go as it is written of him. So he got to drink his water and eat his bread with fear and trembling, with quakiness and carefulness. He got to do it. Because he got the dread and terror of Yahuwah. You got to remember what is prophesied of him in YAHUSH and Isaiah 11. It prophesied that he would be quick in the fear of Yahuwah. Fast to it. He'll take to it quickly. If the fear of Yahuwah is in you, then the dread is in you. That regard, you treat him as awesome. You respect his power. That's why he told you in Malachi, he said, I gave them the covenant that I gave to him for the fear wherewith he feared me. See, a lot of people don't look at Yahuwah with that fear and that awesomeness and that dread. It shows in the things that we will do or the things that we will say. It'll even sit back and show with the people we make alliances with or the people we'll take counsel from. You know what I'm saying? It'll show in all of that. You know what I'm talking about? How can you sit back and look at it and say you got the fear of Yahuwah in your heart, but yet you'll listen to somebody who does not have that fear in their heart? You know what I'm saying? Because the book say if you walk with wise men, you'll be wise. If you walk with fools, you'll be destroyed. So if you're listening to a person who don't have the fear of Yah, guess what that's going to say about you? You can't have it. Birds of a feather flock together. That's what the book say. The book says, as in your heart, so you shall be. As you think of that, just what you're going to be. What's in your heart, what you think in your mind is exactly what you're going to do. You know what I'm saying? If the fear of Yahuwah is in your heart, that's going to manifest itself. And that's also going to manifest itself with the people you surround yourself with. You're not going to surround yourself with people who don't fear. You know, niggas sit back. This is what destroyed Israel all the time. A nigga sit back and listen to a nigga tell him exactly what he want to hear for his own destruction. That's when you know you're getting in reprobate status, which we're going to look at, the being worthless. You don't want to get turned over to that state. And that get turned over to that, like we were mentioning before we started, when we look at what the word backsliding actually means all the way through. It don't mean what they make you believe it mean in the church. It means to rebel and to be stubborn. It means to buck. That means you backsliding, you an idolater. You backsliding, you turning away from Yah. And we're going to sit back and look at that. That'll get you killed. Because now you're trampling the son of Elohim underfoot. We don't want to go out like that. Not like that. He said, the Son of Man go as it is written of him, but woe unto that man by whom the Son of Man is betrayed. It had been good for that man that he had not been born. Do you not realize that every time we go against a man, we betray him? Therefore, it was good for us that we had never been born. Because ain't no good. Destruction gonna come to us.
Hey, y'all stop playing with it. Put it down.
Then Judas, which betrayed him, answered and said, Master, is it I? And he said unto him, Thou hast said. You know what I'm saying? Now you don't think this man had that fear and trembling in his heart? But let's turn around and look at what he told his apostles. Let's drop on down, because we know all the rest of it. Let's look what he told his apostles right here in the 55th verse. Let's look what he told them. Because we know Judas done made an unlawful alliance with the Romans and with the chief priest to kill the man. Because they had no reason to kill him. That's why he told them, don't you go in the way of this people. That's why you sit back and look at, why would I listen to an adulterer? When he told me don't go where they going. Why would I listen to a fornicator, a liar, a thief, an idolater, a stubborn person, somebody self-willed, somebody carnal? Why would I listen to them when we already read in Isaiah chapter 8, this man say, do not go in the way of this people. Don't be afraid like they're afraid. Because most people fear the face of a man. You know what I'm saying? They fear the face of what other people going to say. They don't fear your face because then they would be worried about he would say. See, you know one thing about our people, we talk a good one. But when rubber hit the road and the fire get lit, we don't want to do it. Because we end up fearing they fear. I'm telling you, when we turn back and we look in this Revelation 13, you're going to sit back and see a lot of people, they're going to feel that fear. That's why he telling, do not go in the way of this people that make this unlawful alliance. Do not do it. If you do it, you're going to die. You know what I'm saying? That's what we looked at. They made a covenant with death. Majority of people, they make covenants with death. Verse 55, 26 chapter of Matthew. In that same hour said Yeshayahu to I'm sorry. In that same hour said YAHUSHA to the multitudes, are you come out as against a thief with swords and staves to take me? I sat daily with you teaching in the temple. Hold on, I went a little low. I wanted 53. He say, think thou that I cannot pray to my Father, and he shall presently give me more than 12 legion of Malachim? But how then shall the scriptures be fulfilled that thus it must be? Now we know this when Peter had done cut this man ear off, and they ready to go to war. You know what I'm saying? But he said, don't you know that I can ask for that? But the awesomeness and the fear that I have for the Father, because he done made a covenant with me, a life and shalom, I got to do this. So I don't have that dread, because that dread of Yahuwah is in my heart. The way he can answer them in meekness, the reason of his hope. Let's sit back and look at the reason of his hope when he answered them in all humility. Look at verse 61. Let's look and see how he answered them in meekness. Just like what Peter said. Just like what Peter said in 1 Peter 3 and 15 when he was quoting that Isaiah 8. He said with meekness by reason of your hope, that they might be condemned by your good, that your good behavior that speak of you an evildoer, that they might be condemned by your good behavior. Now we sitting around looking at, they speaking of Mashiach as an evildoer. He said, and said, this fellow said, I am able to destroy the temple of Elohim and build it in 3 days. And the high priest arose and said unto him, answer thou nothing? What is it which these witness against thee? But YAHUSHA held his peace. And the high priest answered and said unto him, I adjure thee by the living Elohim, that thou tell us whether thou be the Mashiach, the son of Elohim. YAHUSHA saith unto him, thou hast said, nevertheless I say unto you, hereafter shall you see the Son of Man sitting on the right hand of power, coming in the clouds of Shamahim. He say all this stuff, but he sat back and he spoke to them in meekness by reason of his hope, because he had sanctified Yahuwah, and that was his fear, and that was his dread. That he found more awesome than the threat of men. See, when you sit back and look at it, whenever the fear of Yah is in your heart, then that's what's going to control you. If the fear of men is in your heart, that's going to control you because you fear the wrath of men. Because you fear the wrath of men. Revelation 3 and 10. Revelation 3 and 10. Look what he say. He said, because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I will also keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon the whole world to try them that dwell upon their rocks. Behold, I come quickly. Hold that fast which thou hast, that no man take thy crown. That trying of men is going to come to see what's in a man's heart. Because you know he said he tried the hearts and reins to give every man according to his work shall be. Those who actually serve Yahuwah in fear and trembling, that fear of man will not control them, which will draw that out to where they will go against him. I say I want you to look at something in Revelation 13 again, and let's look and see what happens. Let's look and see how this is going to cause the people to rebel. It's going to actually cause the backslidings. We'll get Revelation 18 and 23 behind this Revelation 13, and we're going to sit back and see how the backslidings occur. Look at Revelation 13 and 11. Make it 10. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killed with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and faith of the Kadeshim. Now we just sat back and look at the patience of the faith of the Kadeshim is to sanctify Yahuwah Elohim in their heart and let him be their fear and dread, because they will not make an unlawful alliance and join this confederacy of the people, because they will not fear the fear that the people have. Because when this beast come about, the people are going to be fearful of him. They're going to find him awesome. And they're going to want to have to follow. They're going to want to follow behind him. And they're going to want to make a covenant with him. And we got something when it comes to that too. They're going to want to make a covenant with him. And I beheld another beast coming out of the rats, and he had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. Now look, right? We talked about this a little bit on Wednesday, but now we got to go and they say he got 2 horns like a lamb, but he speak like a serpent. 2 horns like a lamb, speak like a serpent. 2 horns like a lamb, speak like a serpent. You know what I'm saying? So he coming with lies, but he coming like a lamb. So let's look at something, right? I want you to come over here to 1 Peter chapter 1, about verse 17. Might be 18. Just hold in Revelation 13. First Peter 1 and 18. But 17 is cool though. Matter of fact, make it 14. Matter of fact, 13 better, because you need to hear it. Listen what it tell you. Wherefore, gird up the loins of your mind, be sober, and hope to the end for the favor that is brought to you unto you at the revelation of YAHUSHA HaMashiach. So this man sit back and tell you, you need to gird up the loins of your mind and be clear-headed. I mean, you need to make sure when you girding up the loins of your mind, I mean, you sanctifying the fear of Yahuwah in your heart. And you letting him be your fear and dread. That Yahuwah is more awesome to you than anything that a man can do. He said, don't fear what man can do unto you, because after man killed the body, there's nothing left they can do to you. That's what we seen with Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. They did not fear what man could do to them. You turn around and sit back and look at Daniel. He didn't fear what man could do to him when they coming at him talking about you got to keep this decree. Because his fear of Yahuwah is what controlled him, not the fear of what a wrath of a man could do. Every time the scribes and Pharisees, they sat back and they told him in Luke 13, they told Mashiach, man, you better stop, man. Herod gonna kill you. He say, tell that fox this. Because that fear of that man or wrath of man, that don't control me. You know what I'm saying? That's why people sit back, and that's why he said there's many vain and unruly talkers, especially they of the circumcision. And that's why people get caught up if somebody say certain things that they going to do to them to the word, or they tell them, oh, y'all going to cut you off, or y'all going to do this, or I'm going to get rid of you, this, that, that. Because now the fear of men is moving to control your heart. The fear of y'all's not moving to control your heart. You fear that man. That's why Psalm 27 said, I will not fear what man can do unto me. And a lot of time we fear what a man can do unto us, because that's really where I fear at. That's really where I trust at. That's really where I hope at. That's why Paul told in 1 Corinthians chapter 2, he said, it's set that your hope might be in Elohim and not man. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times people get caught up. Boy, they faith and they fear, they be in man. They don't be in Elohim. Man around here pulling your purse strings. He said, as obedient children, not fashioning yourselves according to the former lust in your ignorance. But as he which have called you is Kadesh, so you be Kadesh in all manner of conduct. Because it is written, be ye Kadesh, for I am Kadesh. And if you call on the Father, who without respect of person judge according to every man's work, pass the time of your sojourning here in fear. That dread need to be in your heart while you passing that time. That awesomeness. That's what he's sitting here telling you, right? You need to regard it, man. You need to have that awesome, that terror need to be in your heart. See, that terror don't be in people's heart. That's why they can do what they do and then think y'all stamp it. You know what I'm saying?
Get out.
That's why it don't make sense. How could you sit back and get righteous counsel from somebody else who don't have that terror in their heart?
Don't sit in the corner. Not listen. Get in the corner.
So let's look at the next thing he said. You gotta sit back and think about that. He say, while you dwell on this earth, do it in fear. That awesomeness, that dread. And you got to remember, sanctify this man in your heart. Do not go in the way of this people. If you don't turn around and you sojourn in your time in fear and you set apart in all manner of conduct and behavior, you're not going in the way of this people, which we know we're supposed to shine as lights in the midst of a crooked and perverse nation. We know many are called, few are chosen. When it comes down to it, when the rubber hit the road and the flame hit the pot and all that type of stuff, everybody ain't going to stand. Everybody's not going to stand firm. You know what I'm saying? That's why you say, Psalm, I'm going to keep you from the temptation that's going to come on the whole earth. When you get tested to actually see where your alliance lies. They don't even sit back and realize, boy, you go through some certain stuff. Y'all testing you to see where your heart at. You've been done sin. You've been done messed up. You'll sit back and be like, boy, I know y'all trying me, and I'm going to trample him underfoot anyway. And then expect the blessing after that. Then the word part, after you do it, continue to go astray. I mean, you done rebel, you done turn. You ain't sanctified the man in your heart. There's no, Paul sat back and stated that in Romans chapter 8, that there should be absolutely nothing that should separate you from the love of Mashiach. Not distress, not nakedness, not peril. Niggas sit back and let certain situations separate them from the love of Mashiach. The only way that could have happened, because it wasn't there. How can somebody separate you from something if it was there? How can somebody sit back? I lost my faith because of you. You ain't never had it. Can't nobody take that from you. Mashiach say, what I give to you, no man can take. He say, no man can pluck you out of my hand. So if it happens, it's because it was never there. It was never there. It was never there. That's just going to just be dead real with it. When that man sat back and said, there's some of y'all that believe not, and they start walking with him, it's because that faith was never there. How could you start, if it was there, how could you start walking with him then? How could you start walking with him then if you believed? You never believed. That's why you can stop. And you can sit back and say, well, this happened, this is why I went and sinned, but I still feel the fear wasn't there because you wouldn't have did that. Can't nothing push something out of your heart that was there. It was never there to begin with. So that means we got to put that fear and that belief and that faith and that hope in Yahuwah in our heart. And that's the first thing to be able to do that is you got to set that man apart in your heart, and he got to be your fear, and he got to be your dread, and he got to be your strength, and he got to be your hope, so you don't go in the way of his people. Because this man say, blessed are the undefiled in the way. He say, blessed are those who do not go in the way of sinners, nor take the counsel of the ungodly. If I'm going in the way of a sinner, and I'm taking counsel from a sinner, I am damned. Now we're going to sit back and see this as this parlays to Revelation 13 with the beast. Because the people are going to take counsel from the ungodly. They're going to go in the way of the ungodly, and they're going to be damned because they feared man more than they feared Yah. And the reason why that was there, because the fear and the hope of Yah was never present. It was never present. How can you sit back and we say, let me finish this 1 Peter chapter 1. I might just read Psalm 27 on general print. Let me finish this 1 Peter chapter 1. He say, for as much as you know you were not redeemed with corruptible things as silver and gold from your vain behavior received by tradition from your fathers, but with the precious blood of Mashiach as of a lamb without blemish and without spot. This man coming up with horns like a lamb, he wants to be that blameless sacrifice. This is what he wants to be. This is why he say he see this beast, he coming up like a lamb as if he's without blemish and spot and he's pure to redeem the people. But the whole time, it's war in his heart. It's guile in his heart. It's sin in his lips. He's the father of lies. There is no truth in him. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to tell you something right. The devil will tell you 1,000 lies, 1,000 truths to get you with one lie. He'll do that just to get you with one. Because he coming to try to beguile. That's why he said he coming in wolves in sheep's clothing. Well, this is how he coming. Wolves seek to devour and destroy. This is what the beast coming to do. This is what YAHUSHA coming to do. Working through this man. See, let's look at John 1 and 29.
That's all listen, yeah. That's all listen.
John 1 and 29. 1 and 29. He said, the next day, Yochanan seeth Yahusha coming unto him and said, behold, the Lamb of Elohim, which take away the sin of the world. Now, at the time when this man rises up, right, it's going to be a lot of stuff going on in the earth. Now, we know something when we look at the Lamb of Elohim, right? That's the covenant. We turn around and we look at that because we looked at that earlier in the week. And we'll come over here to Exodus chapter 12. We look at it again. Because just follow me because I'm trying to establish something. Then come on to Exodus 12 and 13. I'm trying to establish something. Or what I sit back and see that this man's trying to do. Now, he say you was redeemed by a lamb without spot, wrinkle, or blemish, right? So when we look at Exodus 12 and 13, it's a sign, a distinguishing mark, a banner, or a remembrance, or a miraculous sign. It's a miraculous sign that this man's blood is. Now we know from what Paul told us in 1 Corinthians chapter 1, that Yahudim seek signs. And we're going to tie this into the Shabbat as well. Because we know when this man laid his life down, that gave us rest. Because he said, come unto me, all ye that labor, and I will give you rest. Because we know when we get immersed in his death, that means now we have rest in him. Because now we have ceased from sin and ceased from the works of the flesh to live to Elohim. He that suffered in the flesh ceased from sin, that he should no longer live the rest of his time in this flesh to sin, but to Elohim. Well, this man is going to come around and he wants you to live in the flesh, to live to him. Not to die. He don't want you to die to your flesh. He wants you to be fearful of dying, period. He said, whosoever liveth and believeth in me shall never taste death. Believe this? Well, this man going to have you to go opposite of this. That's why he's coming with the horns of a lamb, and you see him taking a deadly wound and he get healed. Same way Mashiach took a deadly wound and was healed. Now he wants to sit back and make it be seen as if his blood was for the redemption of people. See, I'm the one. See that one 2,000 years ago? See, I came back again to do it again. You already know, because he's going to set himself up and say he God. That's why I don't even see why dudes who believe in the New Testament say, okay, Mashiach is not Elohim, how they can't see that he is Elohim by scripture and by the gospels and by the epistles when this man is going to come to do this. This is what he's going to come to do. Huh?
It just made me think about something, man. You know how like a lot of the the fake Jews don't believe in the Messiah, but they don't believe that he's come yet.
Yeah.
That's what it is. They don't believe that he's come yet.
Mm-hmm.
To me, it seems like the anti-Mashiach is going to come, and then they're going to possibly validate it and say, oh, this is the one that we've been waiting on.
Absolutely.
When they do that, then I can see the other people, everybody else listening to them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because what they're going to try to do is he's going to try to come in and mimic the scriptures that we say that the world who ignorantly call him Jesus, they going to sit back and see, he fulfilling what y'all say Jesus did, or what y'all say Yeshua did, or what y'all said Yahusha did. See, he fulfilling all that. He fulfilling all that. The whole time, which we going to look at, though, he going to go against the people who actually keep the covenant and the agreement. Because he going to try to get the people to establish a covenant with him. See, they got to sit back and know the difference. That's why he say the people who don't know the Torah, they cursed. Sit down. I'm talking about, Leah, you go hard like this. I see you going to wear a lot of whoopings in your day. So, oh, I'm going to say, but shoot, they going hard. She still go hard, though. What we can sit back and look at. So now let's look at this here, right? Let's look at Exodus 31. And let's look at the sign right this here. I got the words about that. So we're going to look at that. That's why he told you to sanctify Yahuwah Elohim in your heart and let him be your fear and your dread. Because if not, you're going to follow this covenant after man now. Now you sit back and look, I mentioned, right? He said, it's the Lamb of Elohim to take away the sin of the world. That lamb in Exodus chapter 12 is what took away the sin of the world, or took the bondage or the captivity off of us out of Mizraim, so we could go into the land and get rest. Now this man going to try to come and do the same thing. He going to try to come make his own covenant. Exodus 31 and 13. I got to get there first. Speak thou also unto the children of Yasharal, saying, truly my Shabbats ye shall keep, for it is a sign between me and you throughout your generations, that you may know that I am Yahuwah, that doth sanctify you. You shall keep the Shabbat, therefore, for it is Kadesh unto you. Everyone that defile it shall surely be put to death. For whosoever do any work therein, that soul shall be cut off from amongst his people. 6 days may work be done, but the seventh is Shabbat of rest, Kadesh to Yahuwah. Whosoever do any work in the Shabbat day, he shall surely be put to death. Wherefore the children of Yasharal shall keep the Shabbat, to observe the Shabbat throughout the generations for a perpetual covenant. It is a sign between me and the children of Yasharal forever. For in 6 days Yahuwah made Shamahim and Arats, and on the seventh day he rested and was refreshed. So we see 2 key things. Number 1, the Shabbat is a token. Number 2, it is a covenant. So it is an agreement. You know what I'm saying? We sit back and realize Mashiach say, drink, this is my blood for the New Testament, which is said for the many for remission of sins. This is an agreement. When he shed his blood, this is allow us to be able to get rest, just like that lamb in Shemot 12, where we're reading about this man coming up with 2 horns like a lamb, trying to imitate that covenant. That's why he said you were redeemed by the precious blood of a lamb, by the blood of Mashiach, without spot or blemish. This man is coming up like a lamb because he wants to imitate that covenant. When we look at Shabbat, right, we got the I'm not going to say it wrong, the Shan and the Bat and the Tau. And basically what it means is the promise of being filled by his presence until all is completed. Now, when he sat back and said it's a sign and it's a covenant, that in 6 days the man worked and the seventh he was refreshed. Let's look at Romans chapter 6 and sit back and look at what the Shabbat really means. It's the promise of being filled with his presence until all is completed. Then get you Acts 3 and about 14 or 13. It's going to tell you the same thing. That means being filled with his presence is being filled with the Ruach. Because we know the new covenant is the Ruach HaKodesh. That's the sealing of it. That's the mark in the head and in the hand, which we're going to look again in Exodus chapter 13 and sit back and see how this man is trying to come to establish a covenant of his own with his own people. Romans 6 and verse 1. Romans 6 and verse 1. And that was a very good point there, sir, because that's exactly what they do. They do not believe that YAHUSHA the Mashiach. They do not believe that he has came already. And it's just what it is, you know what I mean? And they're gonna try to work your ignorance on that. They're gonna try to work it. You better know it and you better believe it. What shall we say then? Shall we? Go ahead, sir.
I was saying, it just came. I was just sitting here and just listening to you talk about them and what it's going to come do. It's just like, it really just popped in my mind. Like, I know it's nothing but Yah, but these people,
yes,
like I said, it's not the fact that they don't believe there is one, they just don't believe that he's come yet. And it just, it fits perfectly.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Which, I know I probably had discussions over when I sit back and think about it over the course of the years, even before even really dealing with the book. Because you sit back and look at it. Now, I put it to y'all this way while I'm thinking about it. The Muslims call him the Imam Mahdi. That's who they waiting on. You know what I'm saying? That's who they waiting on, which is basically a Messiah type. That's what they waiting on. And he's supposed to come in and usher all this stuff. You know, some people believe it's gonna be the Pope, but people give the Pope way too much credit than he deserves. You know what I'm saying? Pope gonna be a little too old to pull off the stuff that people talking about. See, the reason why niggas do it is because they feel like the Catholic Church got so much influence that the anti-Mashiach got to come from up out of that. Now, it's highly probable that whatever Pope, white Pope, black Pope, I'm not getting all that conspiracy stuff right now. You know what I'm saying? That could be the false prophet that's ushering this person in, because Muslims and the Catholic Church, they're the same religion. It's both Babylonian pagan sun worship. They're both the same. If you actually put Islam and Catholicism side by side, they do the exact same things, because it is the same thing. You know what I'm saying? Now, contrary to popular belief, these Jewish people are in bed with both of these people. You know what I'm saying? They might war with them on TV and in public, but they in bed with these people. You know what I'm saying? They in bed with these people. And they're going to usher this in to try to sit back and convince it. Because one of the things before John Paul II, before he died, one of the things that he was working on, and this is something they don't talk about it a lot, there are numerous think tanks and groups sponsored by the United States government and other countries to merge all the religions into one. Like they even have something called Chrislam, the merging of Christianity and Islam. So all these groups are going to work together that when whoever this man be, that they're going to say, this the one. This is the one.
I know my cousin, I was talking to him, and somehow we got to talking about beliefs, because, I mean, he already know where I stand.
Word.
He got his little fiance or whatever, oh, yeah, we going to the YAH temple.
Whoa.
I'm like, the what? I'm like, what?
Yeah.
He's like, you know, we just believe in our religions. All religions come. And so, I mean, I want y'all to know, like, it's real alive in effect right here, right now.
Yeah, it's called theopathy.
So, they said it's all religions. Whatever you believe, everybody come there.
Yes, sir. Yeah, it's called theopathy.
That's Atlanta for you.
You know what I'm saying? Put them all together. They tell you, all y'all done heard it before, it's all the same God, just a different way to get there. That's New Age teaching. Yep. Oprah teaching. You know what I'm saying?
Soul Church, whatever she called it.
What was that? Let me finish. Yeah. Say that.
Nothing all religion started, did Freemasons started all religion?
No.
Christianity, Muslim.
No. Those things was around what we call Christianity. Ain't nothing but sun worship with a different name. You know what I'm saying? Any religion that you can think of is thousands and thousands of years old. They just put a different name on it. You know what I'm saying? And all these religions predate Islam. I mean, predate Freemasonry, because people been worshiping the sun and the things in Shamahim long before anybody thought about being a Freemason.
They just worship creation instead of the creator.
Yeah. So like I said, when you look at Islam, it's Babylonian pagan sun worship. And then you look at Christianity, it's pretty much the same thing. And then you could go back in history and you're going to sit back and see it branched from the Egyptians and it branched from the Sumerians. And then when you get back to it, it's just idolatry. That's all it is. You know what I'm saying? And which this man at the end that we reading about in Revelation 13 is trying to finish it off to get people to go back to continue in idolatry. You know what I'm saying? Worship of self. And that's why he wants you to worship him. That's what people don't sit back and realize. It's a lot of people who claim to be in the way of Yahuwah and are really idolaters because they worship themselves. That's why he told you that in Philippians 3:19. He said your Elohim is your belly. Your power is your belly, your lust, your desires. That's why the scriptures say he cursed Satan to go upon his belly, because Satan would always go by his desires. And his children are going to be moved by their desires and try to cloak it as if they serve Yahuwah the whole time they serve themselves. Do you know what I'm saying?
That's what a lot of these New Age people will run with. That you know what I'm talking about? Oh, you got to have knowledge. When you studied all things, you got to know knowledge of self.
Yes, sir.
I remember the first time I heard somebody said that, and I'm like, what? I'm like, oh, I hear you. And then I heard another, and I know they're a sinner. And then the next time I heard somebody say it, I know they're a sinner. And I just saw somebody say it again today. And I realized that's what they're running with. They're running with man's mind, and that's how they always say, oh, you got to know. But after you don't study everything else, you got to study yourself. You got to know the knowledge of yourself.
Yeah.
Knowledge of self.
Because that's that Egyptian stuff. That's that Egyptian stuff. Know thyself. Know thyself. You know what I'm saying? But it's idolatry. That man didn't tell you to know yourself. He told you, learn of me, for I'm lowly and meek in heart.
Hallelujah.
That's what he told. He told you come learn of me. He didn't tell you to learn about yourself. You learn about yourself, you're going to find out what you already knew. You's a transgressor and you carnal and you need a savior. They didn't feel like they learned out of themselves. I done tapped into some extra power. You done tapped into some stupidity, what you done tapped into.
One too many deep breaths.
One too many deep breaths. I'm gonna be honest with you too. I'm gonna just go ahead like this here, right? I told them, y'all didn't hear that part, right? I was at this seminar, right? I ain't finna get into all this here again in great detail. But this Caucasian had the utter nerve and audacity to say racism didn't exist. And
Oh, wow.
yeah, and if and that had me hot, and I wanted to tell him something, but I didn't want to interrupt what he was doing. You know what I'm saying? Cause how dare you? And it was black people in there agreeing with him. And I'm like, oh, y'all need to be slapped. So Mr. Charlie told you ain't no racism. You believed it. About 3-4 weeks ago, I bet you niggas were talking about Black Lives Matter, though. You know what I'm saying? But Mr. Charlie said ain't no racism. Yeah. But he doing certain things in there. My brother like, yeah, man, he using comedic science. While he telling you how to say stuff and take a deep breath and do this and do that. And I'm sitting there watching. Put your hand over your heart and feel the energy. This is what he kept saying. I need your energy up. Where's your energy? I say he really around here playing chakra games. You know what I'm saying? And niggas sitting back looking at me while I ain't participating because this crackers playing with witchcraft in my face. You know what I'm saying? He's playing with witchcraft in my face, calling this as a means to get you hyped up. Because what he's trying to do is to get you to be in line to go for his subliminal programming, which is to buy the products that he's selling. You know what I'm saying? To get you here under the guise of this is a free seminar, millionaire mentor, or whatever. Let me see. I got a stupid thing right here by me. My brother been talking about this for weeks. He wanted me to go. The millionaire mind experience. You know what I'm saying? Coming with all these affirmations and all this breathing and all this energy and all this type of stuff sliding in there. See, I deal with stocks. See, what we do is we rent the stocks out. So I'm thinking to myself, why you got to talk all this nonsense when you could have just came in here off the rip? You ain't got to be here for 3 days, buddy. You could have came in here, check this out. I rent stocks out. I cop stocks and I rent them out. This how you do it. Give me such and such, such and such. I give you the program how to do it. I need $200-$300 for whatever you charge. You know what I'm saying? You try to win me over with some breathing techniques and some feel the energy and all that talking about passive. Like, you know you dealing with some nonsense when a nigga got a board, like one of them little papers things that they write on, and he write in the marker and flipping papers over with, writing the same thing over and over again. Passive income. This, that, there, and the third. Man, who you think you insulting? See, you can get these people with it because you know people are greedy. And you know people don't like the state of the life that they live in. You know what I'm saying? I am a businessman. Get to the point. I don't need to be here 3 days from 8 to 6 o'clock for what you doing. See, my brother already know I can't come on Shabbat. He know I ain't coming. He like, you don't come Sunday? No, I ain't coming. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm not buying what he's selling. I don't need a motivational speech. I don't need him to tell me anything. You know what I'm saying? Matter of fact, I can look up to see how to rent stocks out on my own. I don't even need your technique. I can look, once you said that, okay, that's what you do. I can look that up on my own. You know what I'm saying?
That made me think about something, man. You know, like people, I know a reason a lot of people get caught up in this stuff. Like I said, I myself, before I knew better, you know, hey, me here doing yoga, woo, woo, woo. Now I stretch, but I ain't doing no yoga. But people realize that stuff works. Like, and then they say, oh, well, it works. So, no, it's right. People got to realize that stuff they be doing, it works. That's why they do it.
That's why they do it.
It didn't work. They do it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You know what I'm saying? I'm just sitting back. They looking at me crazy because they like, man, bro ain't participating. Because, man, I ain't feeling none of that, man. I'm telling you, man, this man did all this stuff, man, before they broke for lunch. He said something to me. I got the book going. $12. Get them before they gone. We only got a limited supply. Man, almost everybody in that room jumped up and ran to the... I thought the books were free at first. I ain't hear him say he wanted some money. You know what I'm saying? So I'm thinking he's saying limited supply, like, well, shoot, let me go on back here and see what this free book is before I dump it in the garbage can. Man, buddy wanted $12 for them books. Man, I'm not giving you $12 for nothing.
Did you laugh in his face?
I wasn't enough to laugh in his face. You know what I'm saying? Because he up on the stage. You know what I'm saying? Before you look up, buddy, gone. See, we was at a hotel conference room. You know what I'm saying? Like the man said, they kept it cold in the room so you could stay woke. Keep you woke. Man, I'm from the South. Man, you keep a room cold, everybody going to sleep.
Period.
You know what I'm saying? But it's the fact of you saying you purposely keeping the room cold. That means you're doing this for a reason. And I'm mentioning this stuff here because because it's tying into what we talking about. I'm talking about the manipulation tactic that he used. First, the man say, okay, anybody who don't stay, see, we gonna see who committed, who gonna be here by the third day. So you gonna tell me because I may not be feeling what you talking about, that mean I ain't committed to getting wealthy? Maybe it ain't that I see through your nonsense. I'm not committed now. But you see what that draws in? The fear of men. I give you an example. I'm out there talking to my brother, right? It's a lady standing there, right? Because he said something about if you say you know something already, that means your mind closed and you're not opening up to learning. But I'm sitting back looking at, I could give him that to a certain extent. But if you coming to tell me something that I've already done or mastered, or I'm aware of, and I say, okay, I'm aware of that, brother. I know that. That doesn't mean my mind closed. That means you don't have to regurgitate information that both of us are privy to. You know what I'm saying? So now when I'm telling my brother, like, bro, the man ain't said nothing the whole time we've been in here. When we was sitting there, a lady sitting there, I said, man, the man ain't said nothing yet. She was like, yeah, he ain't said nothing. But yet she going right along with him when he working his techniques though later. I'm telling my brother, like, bro, the man ain't said nothing. Like, what is he selling? He was like, man, you got to have, the lady was like, see, you got your mind closed. My mind ain't closed. You just bought what he was selling. Y'all can't even see through the crap that he's selling. You know what I'm saying? He gonna get you for every little bit of money you got. Then he got network marketing going on too. So he was like, yeah, when you come back from lunch, come back by 30 minutes early and get with the ambassadors because he got it set up over the side. That's why he asked, how many of y'all network marketers? Then he said, if you're a network marketer, don't sell your product here. I'll set such and such time where you can speed market because he's trying to make sure you don't get your hustle on because he's trying to get his hustle on. And you thinking this man actually cared about you and he come with all this stuff. I ain't trying to get religious. I ain't trying to do that. This man trying to get your money though. That's what he's here for. And y'all wondering, like my brother said, yeah, man, seminar like this little cost, he doing it for free. And it got a sign on the wall that if you don't want your name or your face or your voice in the video to let them know because this is for promotional purposes. So this man came down here for 3 days looking to recoup the money he spent off y'all in them 3 days from y'all buying his products. You know what I'm talking about? And on top of that, to get some of y'all to get down with his team so he can make more money on you after he leaves. You know what I'm saying? And y'all ain't peeping the hustle. I ain't mad at his hustle. I ain't gonna bust his hustle in front of nobody, but I peep what's going on though. You know what I'm saying? I ain't going for it. My brother's like, man, you gonna stay till 6? No, I ain't finna stay. You go ahead and drop me off, bro. I'm not finna sit out here all day talking about information like this here you gotta pay for. Man, I would have slapped that man if I paid for that. Cause you ain't told me nothing. You know what I'm saying? And even in the real estate investment game, a lot of them dudes get paid a lot of money selling products to people that people don't even make no money off of, that they don't even really have to spend no cash on. Like I just heard a dude say he spent $15,000 on some real estate training for a seminar and all that type of stuff. 15 racks? Like, come on, man. You got some.
Do it, man.
I know it.
I just heard somebody say they spent like 15 or like 30 racks on some stuff for the Forex market, for the foreign exchange currency market, and it's all crap. Like,
and they get you every time because they know people want to make, these people make more money selling you the products than they do actually what the product is supposed to be teaching you to do, because they know that everybody want to be rich so bad that they think this information is just some holy grail type of stuff and they'll shell out all time. Man, I ain't never bought none of that stuff. Like something like that, man, look here, man. They look at me crazy. I tell them, man, let me find me somebody who doing it for real and let them teach me. I ain't trying to pay you nothing, bro. I'd rather get down with somebody and we split money on the deals and we both eat than to be buying some garbage. You know what I'm saying? But hey, let's continue on. Verse 3 though, he say, know you not that so many of you were immersed into YAHUSHA HaMashiach, were immersed into his death? Therefore, we are buried with him by immersion into death, that like as Mashiach was raised up from the dead by the esteem of the Father, even so we should also walk in newness of life. So, when we take on this covenant or this rest with Mashiach, we seeking to be filled with his presence. See, let's look at this Acts 3 and 13. And then we'll look at something like what Paul said in Acts 19. Have you received the Ruach since you believe? Since you done rested from your sins and rested in Mashiach, have you been filled with his presence until everything is completed? That's what we sitting back looking at. If we get immersed, we sitting back looking at being filled with the Ruach, that we might be filled with his presence until all things are completed. I fought the good fight of faith. That's why he say, he that endured to the end, the same shall be saved, because I have his presence with me until all is completed. See, this is what Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, Hananiah, Mishael, and Hananiah. See, they were filled with his presence till all was completed. There was no fear of what man could do unto them. See, a lot of people, they got a lot of fear of man. A lot of people, self-worshipers, man, say they self-will. They worship their own will. Pleases themselves more than pleases Elohim. They much rather please themselves and say, y'all please what they doing. All you can do is warn somebody. People do what they want to do. You know what I'm saying? But I had a dream about that, about maybe this week or the week before. That somebody I know went and did something, and that's exactly what was said. You know this nigga gonna do what they want to do. I'm like, what can you do? Because you can sit back and look at it and do what you want to do, and it could be the nail in your coffin. The nail in your coffin. You know what I'm saying? I'm sitting back looking at getting that in a dream. I'm looking at 99.9% of the time, they probably gonna do exactly what was in that. You know what I'm saying? He said, the Elohim of Abraham and of Isaac and of Jacob, the Elohim of our fathers, have esteemed his son YAHUSHA, whom you delivered up and denied him in the presence of Pilate, when he was determined to let him go. But you denied the Kadesh one of the just, and desired a murderer to be granted unto you. Now what are these people going to sit back and do when this man in Revelation 13 that we reading about? They going to desire a murderer be granted unto them. He said, and killed the Prince of Life, whom Elohim have raised from the dead, whereof we are witnesses. And in his name, through faith in his name, have made this man strong, whom ye see and know. Yea, the faith which was by him have given him this perfect soundness in the presence of you all. And now, brethren, I walk through ignorance, ye did it, as did also your rulers. But those things which Elohim before had showed by the mouth of all his prophets, that Mashiach should suffer, he hath so fulfilled. Repent ye therefore and be converted, that your sins may be blotted out, when the times of the refreshing shall come from the presence of the Master. He say on the seventh day, he rested and was refreshed. So we sitting back to be looking to be filled with his presence till all is completed, because the Shabbat is a sign and a covenant of the refreshing of his presence, of his rest. Now let's go back and look at Exodus 13 about that mark before we look at this Acts 19 that I mentioned. And it was something else. It'll come back to mind in a minute. Let's just go back and look at the law on this now. And I'm also looking at all this here because like I didn't mention it, but we're going to look at it again. Looking at it, one could surmise that when this goes down, that it's going to go down during Passover. And I'm going to be honest with you. Looking at that, the calculation of time is different. Like I just seen a couple people asked a brother about, he didn't realize his post was condescending. That might have not been his intent, but how you read it, I guess more people took it as condescending because they know him. You know what I'm saying? But he was like, okay, how people keeping Pesach, and it was such and such day, how you got boom, boom, boom. Hello? Hello?
Yeah, that's standard.
What's happening? So they looking at how you got boom, boom, boom. So when they going through it and they asking him to explain it, he wasn't really explaining it. The worst thing that I hate, that I always hate to see people do on the internet when somebody's asking them a question about something, is they give them a video to look at. Nobody asked you for a video, bro. You could explain it to me and then gave me the video to look at. Don't answer my question with a video. You know what I'm saying? I never understood why dudes did that. I ask you a question, you respond to me with a video. I didn't ask you for a video. I asked you to answer my question. I take the fact that you give me a video as being that you can't properly answer my question. So with that being said, and we sit back.
If he's supposed to come back doing our Pesach,
That's what I'm sitting back. That's what I'm sitting back and sitting here telling you. Now they go by the moon, so this obviously that's when that he would go back. When I'm sitting back looking at it, right? Because you have to remember one key thing: everybody is not on one accord when it comes to this.
Nope.
I just seen a sister say, "Oh, it's Passover again," and I was like, "Yeah, you know, certain people did it at certain times." She was like, "And people are not on one accord." According to the scriptures, and I'll be dead honest with you, a lot of people when they see that causes them to want to turn away. You know what I'm saying? Now that one there could be a little bit of you ain't had no faith, and a little bit of it I can understand. You know what I'm saying? In the same breath, cause you see people keeping Pesach March 23rd. Then you see somebody come through and they keeping it April 2nd, April 3rd. Then you seeing somebody else coming through, they keeping it April 20th or April 21st or April 22nd. And you sit back looking at, well, which one is it? When the one thing that they don't sit back and consider in their heart is you have a people that have been destroyed because of a lack of knowledge, who have been cut off from their heritage, who have been destroyed from knowing who they were for millenniums, for 2 millenniums. And you know what I'm saying? Huh?
Like, dang, that's real. Like, it just hit me. Like, it's literally been 2 millennium.
It's literally been 2 millenniums. You know what I'm saying? And you expecting them to have everything that on point in a matter of years. You know what I'm saying? In a matter of years. When we talk about years, I'm talking about not even a century. We're talking about decades. Not a century, 2, 3, 4 decades. Not a century, decades.
One man's lifetime, literally.
Literally. You know what I'm saying? So it's going to take some time. You know, the book say, rebuke a wise man, he shall be wiser. So, you know, if Yahuwah with you, you could be going in the way and then he slap you upside your head and say, no, that ain't the way to go. I'm finna show you something. Bop, 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 bop. So some people sit back and look at, because you change something, that necessarily means you don't know what you're doing. Like I explained to y'all before. Most all Hebrews went by the moon. Ain't now Hebrew walking, sit back and say when he came to this thing, he went by the sun for counting months, days, and years because he lying. You know what I'm saying? Nigga straight up lying. You know what I'm talking about? The only people that can sit back and say that is if they came in with somebody who was teaching that when they came in. But that man wasn't doing that when he started. Because most people open up the book, seen moon, that's what they did. They just went and did what everybody else was doing when they came in. This is what they did to calculate the time, and that's what they did. Do you know what I'm saying? Straight up and down. I just told her brother today, just sit back and think about it. You don't read nowhere in the book where anybody go look to sight a new moon. Brothers be looking for that new moon. We don't got no book for that. Where did that come from? There's nobody in the book ever did that.
You talking about the spot new moon for the beginning of the year or in general?
Just period.
When there was with Daoud, he said the new moon shall be upon us.
Yeah, but remember that don't translate the moon there though.
I get what
you know what I'm saying? Like there's literally no, because if it was, we know it would say Iraq Kadesh and not just Kadesh. There's nobody in the book saying, let me go look out here and let me spot the crescent moon like we be doing. Ain't nobody in the book ever say, let me go find the barley so I can know it's Abib now the new year come in like we be doing. Just like this here, right? We say when we see a full moon, it's the middle of the month. Where did we get that from? Because ain't no book for it. You know what I'm saying? Even though when we sit back and look at calculating the day, the month, the days by the moon, yeah, you get the 14th, 15th of the month, there'll be a full moon right there every time. But where did that actually come from? Ain't no script to back that up. Brother Tony asked today, he said, where's the scriptures at to show you the phases of the moon and how that work? Where that come from? Because we know y'all wouldn't leave this stuff to chance. But sometimes we sit back and look at, because we don't know certain things. Like, you know, Paul tells us that we prophecy in part, we know in part, did that there in the third. Reason why I say that there, because, you know, I seen a brother going off, right? He was going off on GMS, though. Well, dudes will sit back and say, I got the truth. Or as you know, as ISUPK say, we the home of the truth. And you know what I'm saying? Those are bold statements. They bold statements in one, because the average person, when they hear that, they're going to take that this person understands and knows everything. You know what I'm saying? It also implies that ain't nobody else got it. You the only one got it. You know what I'm saying? That's what that implies. That might not be the intent, but that's the implication. Because we got to sit back and look at how a carnal-minded person, how the human mind works. Some men may be trying to imply that, and some men may not be. But then when we turn around and look at it, like I say, we're talking about millenniums. You didn't know who you were. You didn't know who you were. You don't even know your language. You know what I'm saying? Like, we sit back and look at, it's a lot of stuff we thought we had correct. Then you go to learning your language, and then you see, well, shoot, that don't even mean that. So then you're going to have to change that. That's why he tell you in Lamentations, Jeremiah chapter 3, his mercies are new every day. It's by his mercies we are not consumed. We don't sit back and look at that. Like I say, the average person sit back looking at, these brothers kept Pesach on 3 different occasions. All these people say they believe the same book and the same thing. How they can't get this together? And it leave people disillusioned. But at the same time, it also shows that faith may have not been there. Because if that faith was there, you would sit back and think about it. Y'all get us all on the same page. But it also come in. Go ahead, brother.
I said, if that's where your heart really is, are you seeking for y'all not to, praying for y'all not to allow you to be given over to a reprobate mind?
Absolutely.
And a stony heart. Is that what you really, are you asking him not to allow that to happen to you?
Absolutely.
If you think you got it already, you're not going to be asking for that because you think you perfect.
Absolutely. Now I'm gonna tell you something, right? And like I said, I mentioned like this here a little earlier, and we talked about it, like only because I speak personally, because it's been asked of me of other people. Like, I guess some think that I would be adverse to it. I'm not adverse to it. You know, we were talking about this during Unleavened Bread. I told you, most of these brothers don't really want to sit down and chop this up so everybody can get on the same page in sincerity. Most don't want to do it. Because most want to be seen and praised of men. You know what I'm saying? Most want to be the man. See, that's something you remember what we looked at in Job 13:1. Job said, I have seen the same thing you've seen and heard the same thing that you heard. I'm not inferior to you. So basically he was speaking to his friends is that I'm not less than you. I'm equal as you because I've heard and seen the same thing that you've heard and seen. So when you would look at, when we talk about men who are supposed to be teachers of the word, and I sit back and look at you, I've seen the same thing you've seen and heard the same thing you heard. So sometimes a brother sit back and look at that you are inferior to him. So therefore, I don't got to take what you got to say seriously because I feel like I'm greater than you. And that's where the problem lying at. You know what I'm saying? And it also lie into what Job mentioned in the 13th chapter as well, is that people secretly accept persons. You know what I'm saying? You'll have certain people that sit back and be like, I'm going to listen to him over him. Why? Just because you are a respecter of person. It could be because you feel like his congregation bigger. Because we know Hebrews do the same thing, man. I'm talking about you can sit back and look at it. Hebrews do the same thing. Whether it's GMS, IUIC, I see these dudes beef with this type of stuff. That I'm going to listen to this dude because of this, or he better than this dude because of this, and this, and this, and this. So they secretly accept persons, and that's a sin. You know what I'm saying? We already know in James chapter 2, he said, if you secretly accept persons, you're convicted of the law as a transgressor. But people do that. And we have to be careful that we don't do that in all aspects and areas. You can't give somebody a better judgment because who their person is or what title they have or what they may possess. People do it all the time. It's human nature to do it too. Whether people know it or not. Hello? Hello?
Yeah, phone drop.
Yeah. You know, that's human nature to do that. Like it was something I was talking about. I ain't going to get into the specifics of it, right? I was talking to my people in Detroit about something. And he was telling me something about myself in a particular situation. You know what I'm saying? And I was telling him, you know what I'm saying? You may honestly and sincerely mean that. But also, though, you my nigga. So you going to be biased. In whatever it is. You going to be biased. Because you my nigga. You not going to be able to separate. You could be. I ain't going to say you're not going to be able to. Because you can. You know what I'm saying? But it may be more difficult for you to do that because we friends. You know what I'm saying? And to be honest, what it just was matter was he was discussing was just my skill level and where he felt like I rated amongst certain people that he knew with the word. But I'm like, but you biased though. You know what I'm saying? It's been situations where I hadn't told both my sisters before on certain stuff. I'm like, you know, I can say this stuff to you, but your opinion going to be a little different because you're going to be biased. You're going to naturally lean to me anyway. Because we people, because we family, you're going to lean to me anyway. You know what I'm saying? It can be a little harder for you to be objective. You know what I'm saying? I was just in a situation where somebody would come to me with certain stuff and it pertained to me and they didn't think that I could maintain my objectivity. You know what I'm saying? I can maintain my objectivity. I mean, you may not, even if you thinking that I'm saying something because I'm saying it because of whatever. I mean, I can remain objective. You know what I'm saying? It's not hard to do if your mind is trained on doing that because of how you've been taught. But at the same time, I can understand why they would see it that way because a person's natural inclination is to lean to their bias. You know what I'm saying? As the children of Yasharal, the people of Elohim, we have to learn not to lean to our bias, but to judge it straight down the middle and keep a just weight, a just balance, and get your personal feelings and bias out of the way. You know what I'm saying? I done told plenty of my people, man, you bias. You know what I'm saying? Some of y'all know right now, man, if somebody came and be like, man, such and such, and you ain't gonna sit back and think of, like, say, I'm not saying there's no competition, I'm just using this as an example. Somebody come and say, yeah, man, such and such, man, or smash your man with the word, this, that, there, and the third. The dude who they referring to, you could hear him, and they might have more skill than me. But your bias might make you lean towards me because we people. And it didn't say, like I said, it ain't got to be you can sit back and look at it. You can look at sports, music, whatever the case may be. Nigga could be nicer than your homeboy on the mic, but that's your homeboy. So you gonna rap for him. You gonna do that. It might take you a while to be like, yeah, bro, nicer than you. That's just natural. But we had to sit back and look at, when I'm saying natural, that means it's of the flesh. So that means that respect the persons that we could have, that can be generated, you have to put that away. Just like people's natural inclination is to lean to a rich person's opinion over a poor person's opinion. You know what I'm saying? Or lean to the words of somebody who has a higher status than someone who has a lower status. Some people lean, just like if you go to court, a police officer's word has more weight than a regular witness in the courtroom. That's respect of persons. Because they feel like a police officer wouldn't lie, they'd be more trustworthy. Natural bias. I'm being honest though, because I've been to trial and this has been stated. This was actually in my jury instructions. That more weight is given to a law enforcement officer's testimony than a regular person. Straight up. This was in my jury instructions. This is like in the law. Like I was tripping on that. Because I was convicted of a crime. I ain't gonna tell you no lie. I did it. You know what I'm saying? But I was in the world, so nigga, I don't care nothing about that. I'd have got on the stand and told a bold-faced lie. You know what I'm saying? But they didn't have any physical evidence to convict me of this crime. What convicted me of the crime was the police officers getting up there and say he sold some crack to me. Though they had no evidence to prove that I sold them anything. They didn't have no money from me. They didn't have me on videotape. They didn't have nothing damning on audio or me or nothing. They was just them saying that nigga sold me some crack. That was enough. Straight up. You know what I'm saying? Because people's natural inclination is the law enforcement officer is going to tell the truth. Now, they did tell the truth, don't get me wrong. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying they lied, because they didn't lie.
But you're saying in some situations, there's been plenty of situations they have lied.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, absolutely. I'm not saying that they don't, but I'm talking about just referring to me. I can't get it. I'm not finna, I just don't want to put it out that I'm saying the police lied in my instance. You know what I'm saying? Because they didn't lie in my instance. They did tell the truth. I sold it to them. They just couldn't prove it physically that I sold it to them. You know what I'm saying? Just use that as an example. We know they'll get up there and lie.
And you're just saying at that point, they just going off of somebody's word.
Word, because of who they are. Because of who they are. That's respect of persons. That's respect of persons. We have to be careful that we don't do that. That's why I'm using myself as an example, even just with an example like what I'm talking about my homeboy say, like I said, because this is, if you add people who close to me, because I told him that same thing, you biased, bro. You know what I'm saying? You my people, you biased. You know what I'm saying? When I get finished, I'll tell you specifically what it was that he was referring to. Just now put that on camera, because I ain't trying to start nothing. You know what I'm saying? But you biased. You know what I'm saying? Simple as that. And sometimes we don't sit back and realize that. A man gonna be biased to his wife. A wife gonna be biased to her husband. You're gonna be biased to your kids. You know what I'm saying? It's natural. And you have to make sure you catch yourself not to fall into that trap. My sister was talking to my son the other day, and she was like, her natural inclination and her bias is to think. She asked me, if you show her son or you tell her son, should we check behind you? My first instance, absolutely. But her flesh, her natural inclination is, my brother ain't gonna tell me nothing wrong. I don't feel the need to have to check behind him because of her bias, because that is my brother. But even when she came with that, it doesn't matter if you don't think that I would. Absolutely. Don't take my word for nothing. Go see for yourself. You know what I'm saying? I ain't never told nobody, don't go look that up because I said it. That's no, man. See it for yourself. I can remember being my homeboy. We were somewhere and I was telling them something was in the word. And I went to open it up. You see, man, I believe you ain't got to show it to me. Yeah, I'm going to show it to you. Don't take my word for nothing. Because you really like, I ain't going to lie to you. And that's cool. But that's not the point. You know what I'm saying? That's not the point. See, a lot of times, also in the same breath, a lot of times when people are lazy and they diligence with the word and they don't know the stuff like they supposed to, they'll blame you for them not doing their job when they don't understand something. You know what I'm saying? And say, well, you taught me wrong or you led me wrong. No, that's your fault. Because you just did what the Sunday people did. You sat back and heard me drop something, but you didn't go look at it for yourself. Whose fault is that? That's not my fault. Because if I went through something, I thoroughly explained it. You supposed to double check it. On general principle. On general principle. Like, I don't take that personally. You know what I'm saying? Or you asking me questions about the word. I don't take that personally. I don't get mad. Like, why is you asking me that? I might get frustrated if I feel like you supposed to already know that. And if you don't know that, that means you ain't been doing what you supposed to be doing. And it's more frustration with you're not on top of your game because I expect more from you from that. If I get frustrated for you asking me something that I feel like you supposed to know, that means I expected more out of you than what you're showing me. Because I feel like you supposed to, ain't no way in the world you supposed to add me that because you supposed to already been concretely locked in on that because you was doing what you supposed to be doing. You know what I'm saying? That's just being real talk. You know, a lot of people don't expect nobody to expect nothing out of them. And then they get shocked when somebody is upset with you because you're not reaching your maximum potential. Exodus 13, though. That's because people like niggas blow smoke up they behind. 13-1. Because we got to roll. It's about 10-20. Y'all forgive me, but it would needed to be said, though. Can't have no respect to person, man. I ain't gonna never look at a brother and be like, I'm going to listen to him more because of that's such and such. You know what I'm saying? Man, like I told y'all when we was looking at the thing, looking at the determinant of time, man, I don't care who said it. I'ma still look into it. That means absolutely nothing to me. And it's nothing personal. You know what I'm saying? Because I sit back and look at certain stuff we done studied when information done came to us. I don't think neither one of them gentlemen would tell a lie or mislead people purposely. I'm still finna double check behind it. It's nothing personal. You know what I'm saying? I ain't taking your word for nothing. What does the book say? And can I validate with what you saying with the book say? And if the book back it up, praise y'all. You know what I'm saying? I ain't taking your word for nothing. So Yahuwah spake unto Moses, saying, sanctify unto me all the firstborn whatsoever open the womb among the children of Yasharal, both of man and of beast, it is mine. Come over here to Hebrews chapter 12 real fast. He say, set apart all the firstborn, they mine. The reason why this is important when we come back to Revelation 13, he say all them that are not written in the book of life of the Lamb slain from the foundation of the world will run after this beast. So that means that sanctified all the firstborn. We already know, looking back from the law, looking back with Jacob and Esau, Jacob put on the garment of the firstborn and received the blessing, received the increase. We know put ye on YAHUSHA HaMashiach and make no provision for the flesh to fulfill the lust thereof. Put on the firstborn and you'll be sanctified. Why do we know this? John 17:17. Sanctify them with thy truth. Thy word is truth. And I sanctify myself by the truth, that they might sanctify themselves by the truth. And we know Hebrews 2:11 say, he that sanctifieth and he that sanctified all are one. For which cause he's not ashamed to call them brethren. So if they're all one, then it's one body. And if it's one body, then guess what that means? Firstborn. Hebrews 12 and 21. I hope y'all follow me on that there, because I just didn't want to take the time to go through all that, because we got to roll. But to back up what I'm saying, all you got to check it out is firstborn, Exodus 4 and 22. Yasharal go. You say, Yasharal is my firstborn. Run it back round to John 17 and 17. And then we can run it back round to what we looked at. And that's also verse 19 that I mentioned after that, about I sanctify myself by the truth, that they might sanctify themselves by the truth. And then you can run back to that Isaiah 8 and 13, where he says, sanctify Yahuwah Elohim in your hearts, because it set him apart in your heart. That's what Mashiach did when he died, so he could be the firstborn of the dead. And it says when you are immersed into his death, you'll be raised in the likeness of his resurrection, being conformable and being made one with him. And it's one body, and he the firstborn of the dead, which would make you the firstborn. That's why he says sanctify all the firstborn, because all them are in them will receive the blessing of the firstborn, because Revelation 21 and 8 says, 21 and 7 I should say, says, he that overcometh shall inherit all things, and he shall be my son, and I will be his Elohim. And we know the only person according to our law that get the blessing is the firstborn seed. So this man is actually trying to take your blessing from you. That's what he's trying to do. This is what he's trying to do. Hebrews, I bring 12 and 22. But ye are come unto Mount Zion, unto the city of the living Elohim, of the heavenly Jerusalem, and to an innumerable company of Malachim, to the general assembly and house of the firstborn. Listen to what he said, which are written in Shamahim, and to Elohim, the judge of all, and the ruachs of just men made perfect, and to Yahusha, the mediator of the new covenant, and to the blood of sprinkling that speak better things than that of Abel. Now the key thing he said, right, is he say of the firstborn which are written in Shamahim. Going back to what we were talking about in Romans chapter 10 and about verse 15 or 16, about their sound go out throughout the whole earth, which was referencing Telahim 19 and 6, about how they sound go out through the whole earth, which is going back to Bereshit chapter 1, Genesis 1, and about 15 or 16, where you sit back and look at the stars, the sons of Elohim, the names written in Shamahim, the firstborn. The firstborn. Because you got the Father being the Son being the moon, the stars being the progeny. The stars being the progeny, or the firstborn. Like Paul said in Romans chapter 8, we the first fruits of the Ruach. The firstborn. So I say sanctify the firstborn man and beast, they all mine. So when we turn around and we sit back and we look at knowing the law, when he said that Abraham in the 25th chapter of Bereshit, say he gave all that he had unto Isaac. That's why the master come back in Yakanan 17 and say, Father, all those that are thine are mine. They mine. They belong to me, because their name is written in Shamahim. He said the ruachs of just men made complete, mature, whole. Why? Because they sanctify Yahuwah Elohim in their heart. Why? Because they sat back and look at it. They name written in Shamahim, and they the star written in Shamahim, dwelling in the Mahim. If you sit back and look at it, dwelling in the waters, which is something totally different that Yah we're going to deal with on the morrow. Dwelling in the Ruach. Why they dwelling in the Ruach? Because they died. They rested to be in his presence until all things are completed. Why? Because they feared the wrath of Elohim. They trembled at his presence and his awesomeness, and not the wrath of man, which could move them from coming off the word. So you got to sit back and look at what control you. If the fear of Yahuwah control you, a man can't move you off of sin. If the fear of man can control you, then that's going to move you. If your desire is to Yahuwah, then you can't go commit no sin. If your desire is to yourself, you're going to go to that. It's going to be like what controls your heart. What's in your lab? What's in it? What dictates it? What moves it? Come back to Exodus 13. See, we looking to be firstborn sons, inheritors of the promise, inheritors of the birthright. This man and coming with that lamb, that's why he coming with that, because he know that lamb is what sanctified us to become the firstborn, which belong to Yahuwah. So he want to come and imitate and do the same thing. Sounds like Liz is not well pleased. So we look at verse 3, right? Exodus 13:3. And Moses said unto the people, remember this day. Remember now, we remember looking at, what it was. For token, it means something to keep in remembrance. And what did Mashiach tell us when he told us about the Master's Supper? This do ye in remembrance of me. So this is your token. This is your sign. This is your mark. Do this and remember me. Remember this day in which you came up out of Mizraim, out of the house of bondage, for by the strength of the hand of Yahuwah brought you out of this place. There shall no leavened bread be eaten. This day came ye out in the month of Abib. Remember, he's coming up with two horns like a lamb. Now let's sit back and look at what this man said. He said, by the strength of the hand of Yahuwah, you came out of this place. Let's look at 1 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 7. We come back to Exodus 13. I got to walk it down like this. I got to do it. First Corinthians 5 and 7. Make it 6. Matter of fact, just make it 1. Just listen to what he say, because we were just talking about it. It is reported commonly that there is fornication among you, and such fornication is not so much as named among the Gentiles, that one should have his father's wife. Listen to what he say. And you are puffed up and have not mourned that you have done this deed, might be taken away, that he that have done this deed might be taken away from you. Now you sit back and look at done this deed. Now we're looking at the word backsliding, right? It's mashubah. I probably pronounced it wrong. So, and what it is it's the intent of one's heart to return back to Mizraim, or return back to bondage, or return back to sin. Because the word actually literally means to turn away and turn back. Now we're going to look at another spot in Hosea and in Proverbs, and the word to be kara, and it literally means to be rebel, to be stubborn, and be rebellious. Come and sit back and tell you, a lot of the people that take this, that's going to take this mark of this beast, they just going to be doing it for no other reason because they don't want to serve you, or they want to be rebellious. They want to turn back. So when we read what Paul say, before this man of sin come, there's going to be a great falling away. It's going to be a lot of people that's going to turn their back on the word and worship devils in creation. That's what you're going to see, actually. Like, we look at the falling away as people just dropping them. But what you're going to see is they're going to start serving other gods. And we're going to see an example of that in the Tanakh. So he says, for I truly, as absent in body, but present in Ruach, have judged already, as though I were present, concerning him that have done this deed. In the name of our master, YAHUSHA HaMashiach, when you are gathered together in my Ruach, with the power of our master, YAHUSHA HaMashiach, to deliver such a one unto Hashatan for the destruction of the flesh, that the Ruach may be saved in the day of the master, Yahusha. This man say, go ahead and give him over to the adversary, that the adversary, he might get punished. That's the same way you seen Ahab was given over to the adversary because he wanted to believe a lie. Let's sit back and look at that. Maybe your flesh can be destroyed, but your spirit can be preserved if we turn you over and let Satan get hold to you. Maybe you might learn not to do these things. You know what I'm saying? Because some people get turned over and he bring them back. Some people get turned over, he don't bring them back. It's straight up and down. Like, we could see an example of that because Yahusha was turned over to Satan for the destruction of the flesh. Remember, Satan entered Judas' heart so they could kill the man. He was given over to the adversary for the destruction of the flesh, but preserved by the Ruach in life by the Father because of his obedience. Now, this is not the same quarter of the person being obedient, because this man laid with it, daddy wife. He went far with it. He turned around and he did what Reuben did. That's the same thing where he getting it from. They say it's not lawful that one should have his father's wife. When you turn around and you look at it, Reuben was destroyed in the flesh because he lost the blessing of the firstborn. He lost that. But he was preserved in Ruach because of who his daddy was. Therefore, he was preserved. He wasn't killed. He wasn't destroyed. But he was turned over to the adversary to lose that, though. Verse 6, though. Your esteeming is not good. Know ye not that a little leaven leaveneth the whole lump? Purge out therefore the old leaven, that you may be a new lump, as you are unleavened. For Mashiach, our Passover, is sacrificed for us. Therefore, let us keep the feast, not with old leaven, neither with the leaven of malice and wickedness, but with the unleavened bread of sincerity and truth. What did you say now?
I said, with Reuben, it said that he uncovered his father's nakedness, right?
Yep.
So when it says that Ham uncovered his father's nakedness.
Now with that, when they say he defiled his father's couch, when you look in Bereshit 49, because he actually laid with Bilhah the handmaid.
Con.
So this is what we turn around looking at, right? You got to purge that old leaving out. All that old stuff got to go. That's why he say, remember when you came up out of Mizraim. Remember, sit back and look at something in 2 Peter chapter 1. Look at something that Peter say. See, when you sit back and look at it, when you remember where you came from, you're not going to go back. To see, that's what he told Lot's wife not to look back. She was blacksliding. See, she wanted to turn back. She was rebellious. That's why she got turned to Saul. Reason being, because she did this right here. Because they didn't do this here. They broke the word of parah, which is to trample the law underfoot. When you look at the character to spell it out, it means to trample it underfoot. So when we turn back around, when we look at it, these people trampled Mashiach underfoot by killing him. We turn around and look at it. When we turn back, we trampling the man underfoot. Which we're going to look at and see that the man of sin, the son of perdition, is going to trample this same covenant underfoot himself. What we sit back? 2 Peter chapter 2. So what? Look at verse 6. We ain't going to read all of it. He say, besides this, giving all diligence, add to your faith virtue, and to virtue knowledge, and to knowledge temperance, and to temperance patience, and to patience godliness, and to godliness brotherly kindness, and to brotherly kindness charity. For if these things be in you and abound, they make you that you shall neither be barren nor unfruitful in the knowledge of our master YAHUSHA HaMashiach. But he that lack these things is blind and cannot see afar off, and have forgotten that he was purged from his old sins. See, those people that were coming up out of Mizraim, and number 14, when they say it was better for us to go back to Egypt, they had forgot all the stuff they had been purged from. And they were ready to turn back and rebel. Had them sat back and appointed them a captain to return to their bondage. Because they were backsliders in heart. Therefore, they weren't keeping the ordinances. They were trampling it underfoot, ready to perish and ready to die. We have to make sure that same type of stuff don't come in our heart, that we operate in this fashion, because it's your life you're talking about. See, that's what backslide. When we look at backslide, it literally means to go back to bondage. That's literally what it means. I'm going back to sin. I'm going back to Egypt. I'm going back to captivity, even though you said you had been freed. This is what the man of sin is working towards. Come back over here to Exodus 13. Exodus 13, verse 5. And it shall be when Yahuwah shall bring thee into the land of the Canaanites and the Hittites and the Amorites and the Hivites and the Jebusites, which he sware unto thy fathers to give thee, a land flowing with milk and honey, that thou shalt keep this service in this month. 7 days thou shalt eat unleavened bread, and the 7th day shall be a feast to Yahuwah. Unleavened bread shall be eaten 7 days, and there shall no leavened bread be seen with thee, neither shall there be leaven seen with thee in all thy quarters. And thou shalt show thy son in that day, saying, this is done because of that which Yahuwah did unto me when I came forth out of Mizraim. And it shall be a sign unto thee upon thy hand, and a memorial between thine eyes, that Yahuwah's law may be in thy mouth. For with a strong hand have Yahuwah brought thee out of Mizraim. This man say that this sign should be on your hand and in your head, that his word should be in your mouth. Now, what you think gonna be in the mouth of those who got the mark of the beast in their hand and in their forehead? What covenant are they gonna be a part of? Let's look at something to forfeit this backsliding is concerned and this turning back. Let's look at something in Ezekiel chapter 8. Let's sit back and look at what an example of these people turning back. What's going to happen to them? Ezekiel chapter 8. Verse 15. Verse 14. No, actually verse 15. And it says, Then said he unto me, Hast thou seen this, O son of man? Turn thee yet again, and thou shalt see greater abominations than these. And he brought me into the inner court of Yahuwah's house, and behold, at the door of the temple of Yahuwah, between the porch and the altar, were about 25 men, with their backs towards the temple of Yahuwah, and set their faces towards the east, and they worshiped the sun towards the east. Then he said unto me, Hast thou seen this, O son of man? It is a light thing to the house of Yahuwah that they commit the abominations which they commit here. For they have filled the land with violence, and have returned to provoke me to anger, and lo, they put the branch to their nose. Therefore will I also deal in fury. My eyes shall not spare, neither will I have pity. Though they cry in my ears with a loud voice, yet I will not hear them. Now we know from Ezekiel chapter 9, we looked at Wednesday, that those that had the seal, that cried inside of the abominations that they had seen, the seal in their foreheads, they were spared. And like I told you, it took you right back to the crying and sighing of Misraim, when we were sealed by the token of the blood of the Lamb to bring us out. And he slaughtered all these men who turned their back on Yahuwah. When we turn around and we sit back and look at that, we backslide and we rebel and we trample this man's law, statutes, and commandments underfoot, that we turn our back to him. Why do you think you always read, he said, they gave me the shoulder. They gave me the back. They turned the shoulder. That's what backsliding really is. It's rebelling and turning back. See, look at 1 Samuel 15 and 23. But and matter of fact, yeah, let's get that first. Because we looked at Revelation 18 on Wednesday anyway. Look at 1 Samuel 15, 23. And look what he say. Oh, that's 2 Samuel. He say, For rebellion is as the sin of witchcraft, and stubbornness is as iniquity and idolatry. Because thou hast rejected the word of Yahuwah, he have also rejected thee from being king. Now, one of the meanings of backsliding, and sit back and let's look at Hosea 4 and 14. For the word karah, that literally means to rebel, to be stubborn and be rebellious. So when you backslide, you making the double abomination of being an idolater and a witch, a sorcerer. This is what this man in Revelation 13 working, because that's what me and Corey talking about last week, when they say that the merchants of the earth. There's a song, right, called Californication. It's by the Red Hot Chili Peppers. In the song, they actually talking about how the whole world has been influenced and affected by Hollywood to commit fornication. When we looking at committing fornication in this instance, they're literally talking about how Hollywood has you committing idolatry, and how the merchants of the earth, or the sellers of the earth, or the business people of the earth sell to you and teach you to commit idolatry. And how do they sell to you to commit idolatry? By worshiping yourself, by fulfilling your own will. Where your God becomes your belly. You become like your father Hashatan. You go after your desire. That's why he say in the last days there'll be perilous times, because men will be pleasers of themselves and not pleasers of Elohim. Niggas would rather do what's more pleasing to them than what pleasing to what y'all say do. Look at Hosea 4 and 14. Make it 12. My people ask counsel at their stocks, and their staff declare to them, for the ruach of whoredoms have caused them to err. They've gone a whoring from under their Elohim. They sacrifice upon the top of the mountains and burn incense upon the hills under oaks and poplars and elms, because the shadow thereof is good. Therefore your daughter shall commit whoredom, and your spouses shall commit adultery. I will not punish your daughters when they commit whoredom, nor your spouses when they commit adultery. For they for themselves are separated with whores. They sacrifice with harlots. Therefore the people that doth not understand shall fall. Thou, though Yasharal play the harlot, yet let not Yehuda offend. And come ye not into Gilgal, neither go you up to Bethaven, nor swear Yahuwah live. For Yasharal slide back as a backsliding heifer. Now Yahuwah will feed them as a lamb in a large place. Because we had to turn back and rebel, this man had to turn around and feed you with a lamb in a large place. Because you constantly rebel. That's why he say he came into his own received him not. Because Yahshua was a backsliding heifer. Had to turn back. Even when you sit back and look at it, Mashiach made the red heifer. He didn't rebel or rebellious, but he took on the rebellion and the rebelliousness of Yahshua for our sake. But when you look at that word, it literally means to rebel, to be stubborn, to be rebellious. That means you knowingly do this. You are knowingly doing what you want to do. That's why he said in Romans chapter 1, because they didn't like to retain Elohim in their knowledge, Elohim gave them over to a reprobate mind to do those things that are not convenient. The worst thing, you can sit back and look at it because you don't want to retain the word of your knowledge, that Yah turn you over to do things that are wrong, knowing that you're going to die. Because he told you that in Jeremiah. He said, reprobate silver Yah called them because he has rejected them. You know what I'm saying? Like I say, man, I done had a few people in my time ask me this. When you sit back and wonder, has Yah cut me off? You know what I'm saying? How would you know if he cut you off? That can't mean but one thing. You ain't retaining the man in your knowledge. How does that type of thought even come to your head unless you know you've been doing, listen to Hebrew 10 and 25, because you've been doing this here. That type of stuff shouldn't come in your head, man. You're doing what you're supposed to be doing. 10 and 26. See, that's what happened when you sit back and look at it. He say, man, they are backsliding heifer. I mean, because to rebel and to be stubborn mean you knowingly, you know what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? That's why he say, you see, therefore your sin remain. You know what you're doing. You know what you're doing. And you expect mercy when you knew better, but you decided that I'm going to do it and do it continually. And do it continually. He say, for if we sin willfully after we have received the knowledge of the truth, there remain no more sacrifice for sin. How can we sit back and look at you looking for a sacrifice for sin? You willfully are going against him. But a certain fearful look for of judgment and fiery indignation which shall devour the adversaries. He that despised Moses' law died without mercy under 2 or 3 witnesses. Of how much sore punishment suppose ye he be thought worthy who trodden under the foot of Parah, the son of Elohim, and accounted the blood of the covenant wherewith he was sanctified, an unkadesh thing, and have done despite unto the ruach of favor. Same thing he say, right? Exodus 13 and 1. Sanctify the firstborn. Man and beast, they mine, because this is what this blood has done. And they turned around and they trampled that underfoot in the wilderness. And we're going to turn around later and trample that underfoot? Well, when we turn around and follow after this man in Revelation 13, guess what we doing? Trampling that underfoot. Because that's what he coming to do. Let's look in Daniel chapter 11 about verse 22. Let's sit back and say how he got a problem with this covenant and he come and try to establish his own. So what we look at as a parameter, we seeing that he got a 42-month reign. If he's going to come up as a lamb and take a deadly wound and be healed, that means he's trying to imitate Mashiach's death and resurrection, which we can only surmise for him to do that. He has to do it during the time of Passover. Now, would he do it during the time of those who keep it by the sun? Probably not. He's going to do it 9 times out of 10 when them Jewish people do. But he's still going to be, regardless of whether it's correct time or not, he's going to be doing it around the time of that festival. Of when somebody who's acknowledging, I should say, that they're keeping this festival to make themselves in line with it, because we already stated they don't believe the Mashiach has come. So they're going to take this man and try to get him to fit what is written. That's why those that don't know the Torah are going to be cursed, and they're going to take his mark in their hand and in their forehead. They're going to take it. They're going to make that covenant with him. They're going to say, we're going to bow down and we're going to serve thee and we're going to worship thee. The same way they said everything you said in the wilderness, we will do. They're going to take the covenant with the man and serve him, and he will become their Elohim. Daniel 11 and 22. He said, with the arms, make it 21. And his estate shall stand up a vile person to whom they shall not give the honor of the kingdoms, but he shall come in peaceably and obtain the kingdom by flatteries. coming like a lamb, with the mouth of a serpent. And with the arms of a flood they shall be overflown from before him, and shall be broken, yea, also the prince of the covenant. And after the league made with him, he shall work deceitfully, for he shall come up and shall become strong with the small people. He shall enter peaceably even unto the fattest places of the province. He shall do that which his fathers have not done, nor his fathers' fathers. He shall scatter among the prey and spoil and riches, yea, he shall forecast his devices against the strongholds, even for a time. Now we talked about this here. He's going to forecast his deceit, even against all strength, for a year. This is what he's going to do. Because he's already made a covenant with the kings of the earth to set it up to make a covenant with the people. Now let's sit back and look at what he does here in about verse 28. Well, 27. And both these kings' hearts shall be to do mischief. They shall speak lies at one table, but it shall not prosper, for yet the end shall be at the time appointed. Then shall he return into his land with great riches, and his heart shall be against the Kadesh covenant. He shall do exploits and return unto his own land. And at that time appointed he shall return and come toward the south, but it shall not be as the former as the latter, or as the latter. For the ships of Shittim shall come against him. Therefore he shall be grieved and return and have indignation against the Kadesh covenant. So shall he do. He shall even return and have intelligence with them that forsake the Kadesh covenant. Now he say he gonna have intelligence. Now let's see what that word intelligence, what we get from that one now. Now, this is one of the key things he said. He'll have intelligence with them who forsake the covenant. So this is men of what we read in Luke chapter 12 who going to deny Mashiach. They going to deny him. They going to forsake the set apart covenant now. They going to serve him, which is what Hashatan wanted all the time. Give it a second. You know, I want to work well. So when we sit back and he have intelligence, he say to discern, understand, and consider. To observe, mark, give heed to, distinguish, or consider. To cause to understand, to give understanding, to teach. To teach and instruct, to show oneself discerning or attentive or consider diligently. Now, that means that this man is going to sit back and instruct the people who go against Yahuwah to enter into his covenant. Therefore, when he do this, they done took the sign and mark and made a covenant with him. He going to literally, that's why he sit back and say the merchants of the earth have deceived the whole earth with sorceries. We know Revelation 12 speak of that, how Hashatan deceived the whole world. It's going to deceive the whole world with idolatry and teach men to be idolaters. And most people, because of the fear of man and their fear of death, they're going to become idolaters. Who were once partakers of the set apart covenant, which goes right back to what John 6 and 65 say. I know those which of you believe. Some of you here believe not. And many stopped walking with him after that day. Many stopped walking because the faith was never in your heart. Why you say many are called, few are chosen? You might have been called to the dance. You wasn't chose to enter in, though. Because he already knew you didn't believe. Verse 31, and the arm shall stand on his part, and they shall pollute the sanctuary of strength. You hear what it said? Pollute the sanctuary of strength, and shall take away the daily sacrifice, and they shall place the abomination that make desolate. And such as do wickedly against the covenant shall he corrupt by flatteries. But the people that do know their Elohim shall be strong and do exploits. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 5. So those that don't know that, he say those that do wickedly against the covenant, those who've backslided and turned their back and trampled it underfoot, he going to be able to get you. You sit back and you look at that. You can see that in your everyday life. If you turn your back on the covenant, all it takes is somebody to come tell you how great you are, how nice you are. And next thing you know, you going against the covenant. You join with them. And then you thinking you join with somebody and that's YAH. And the whole time you're going to be destroyed. And can't even see it coming. 2 and 4, actually. 2 and 3. He said, let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition. So that day can't even come till people start rebelling against the covenant, turn their back on. That's why he say in the last days, the love of many shall wax cold. The love of Elohim shall wax cold. who oppose and exalt himself above all that is called Elohim or that is worship Elohim, so that he as Elohim sit in the temple of Elohim, showing himself that he is Elohim. Now most expect, now I'm going to be honest with you, I would not be shocked that most of these people in the world know what an actual Zion is. You know what I'm saying? But we also know from Revelation 11, he said they're going to have them set it up outside. So they're going to be outside the place and they're going to build a temple. He's going to sit in there and he's going to defile the sanctuary of strength. And we know the sanctuary of strength is Mashiach. He's going to defile that and say he's the one. See, I'm the Passover lamb. I'm the Passover lamb. You sit back at daily sacrifice. We know we ain't sacrificing animals now, but he's going to remove all mention of Yahusha. You preaching that name, you're going to be killed. Revelation 12 and 11. See, dude think it's a game. See, that time gonna come, boy. You can't mention the name of Yahushua HaMashiach and expect to live. Or expect not to go to jail. He said, and they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony. And they loved not their lives unto the death. Now, this was talking about Hashatan being cast down. Now, let's swing over here to Revelation 13 where we were at. Now, you sit back and look at it. The only way you're going to be able to overcome it, man, because you sanctified Yahuwah in your heart, and that fear and dread is in your heart. Therefore, there's no way in the world that you could fear what could happen to you because you notice he said the blood of the Lamb. And we sitting back looking at what brought you up out of Mizraim, the blood of a lamb, which is the sign and the mark in your forehead and in your hand, which will cause you to overcome this man. Because he's looking to have people come after him for the blood he shed, but he false though. Revelation 13. We in verse 12 now. He exercised the power of the first beast before him, and caused the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. And he do great wonders, so that he make fire come down from Shamahim and their rats in the sight of men, and deceive them that dwell on their rats by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on their rats that they should make an image to the beast which had a wound by the sword and did live. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. Well, we already know from our law, if you worship Yahuwah and you will worship another idol, you should be killed. We know our law said you don't want to worship. He said, I am Yahuwah your Elohim, which brought you up out of the house of bondage. Have no other gods before me. You can't serve nobody else. We already know this here. See, we can see the example of what this man doing because he doing what was in Babylon. Because you know in Daniel chapter 6, they say nobody couldn't make no petition to any other god for 30 days. If they did, they'd be tossed in the lion's den. They'd be killed. Same thing we just read earlier with Nebuchadnezzar and his statue. You're going to be killed. He said he calls all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive the mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. And that no man might buy or sell, say that he had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Here's wisdom, let the man that have understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. So the only way you be able to do this, you're going to have to enter into a covenant with him. You're going to have to enter into an agreement with him. You're going to have to serve him. And we already seen that he said he'll have intelligence with those who go against the covenant. So you're going to have to let this man teach you how to be an idolater and a sinner. You're going to have to learn from him. And ain't that something that after Mashiach took a deadly wound and healed during unleavened bread, that he sat down and he instructed his people? And that this man is going to turn around and do the same thing? And then when we look at the math, right, if you back it up to about verse 5, it says that he has 42 months to rule. So if we look at this here and we say, if we surmise that he comes in around the time of Pesach, and he has 42 months to rule, that when his rule gets ready to conclude, it would conclude either towards the end or sometime in the beginning of the 7th month. Or the end of the 6th month, my apologies, or the beginning of the 7th month. And if he's coming in at the beginning of the 7th month, we know in day 1 of the 7th month is trumpets. We know that 7 trumpets are blown and then Jericho falls. We know from Revelation that there's 7 trumpets blown and all the kingdoms fall. And then we know on the 15th day of the 7th month, you got to blow a trumpet for tabernacles, for the gathering of the assembly at the door. And we know from us knowing the scriptures and knowing the law, we know that we can expect Mashiach to return during tabernacles, because that's in gathering. Because that's when our forefather Jacob said, I serve for my wife, give me my wife. And they made a feast. We know from Luke chapter 12, Mashiach said, if I come in the first watch and you find it, blessed be that servant, the second or the third watch. We know the first watch will pass over. We know the second watch is Pentecost. The third watch that he hasn't came yet is tabernacles. Because it's 3 times a year you got to come up. I didn't read that verse in Exodus 13, but he mentions that 3 times a year. Let me get the verse for you though. So, verse 10, he said, therefore shall keep this ordinance in the season from year to year. So this man already know from year to year the season of when it's going to come up. So we sit back and look at it knowing, look at Revelation 19 now, knowing that this when Mashiach come back, look what happened to this man. And then we'll sit back and finish in Revelation 14 to show you how Mashiach going to tread you underfoot after you tread him underfoot. And we'll stop right there. Revelation 19 about verse 19. He said, I saw the beast and the kings of the Arats and their armies gathered together to make war against him that sat on the horse and against his army. And the beast was taken, and with him the false prophet that wrought miracles before him, with which he had deceived them that had received the mark of the beast, and them that worship his image. These both were cast alive into a lake of fire, burning with brimstone. Now, if you go look in Zechariah 14, it talks about how he's going to wail and fight for Jerusalem. And that he'll make war with everybody who come against Jerusalem. Even in Joel 3, he said, you know, how he has a controversy for his people. And he will plead for his people in the valley of Jehoshaphat. So if he sit back and look at it upon Mashiach's return, that he's going to destroy this beast and make war with him. And destroy him. And we look at that, we know that from the scriptures, it points to his return is coming to tabernacles, which is in gathering. How he's repeatedly mentioned that he gathered his people unto him. Then we could sit back and surmise that, yeah, this man's probably going to come in during Pesach to imitate Mashiach and be destroyed at tabernacles if he has 42 months to rule. Because we know we got first 6 months of the year. 7 months begins winter, and that's when tabernacles is. Revelation 14 and 14. And I looked, and behold, a white cloud, and upon the cloud one that sat like unto the Son of Man, having on his head a golden crown, and in his hand a sharp sickle. And another Malachim came out of the temple, crying with a loud voice to him that sat on the cloud, thrust in thy sickle and reap, for the time is come for thee to reap, for the harvest of the Arats is ripe. He that sat on the cloud thrust in his sickle, and on the Arats, and the earth was reaped. And another Malachim came out of the temple which is in Shamahim, he also having a sharp sickle. And another Malachim came out of the altar which had power over fire, and cried with a loud cry to him that had the sharp sickle, saying, thrust in thy sharp sickle, and gather the clusters of the vine of the Arats, for her grapes are fully ripe. And the Malachim thrust in his sickle into the Arats, and gathered the vine of the earth, and cast it into the great wine press of the wrath of Elohim. And the wine press was trodden without the city, and blood came out of the wine press, even unto the horse bridles by the space of 1,600 furlongs. Because we already know from Psalm 58 that the righteous will wash their feet in the blood of the wicked, that they might know that there's a reward for the righteous. You know what I'm saying? All because the people turn their back on Yahuwah to follow after this man and commit idolatry, and therefore take his mark or his teachings to commit idolatry and sin against him. So hallelujah for Yahusha in the word. We stop right.